Chapter 507. So, State Preceptor Ching Hai has a problem, Yu Ruoyan said with a gloomy face. He buried the clear space would here to prevent you from tracking him. Is he going to run away with the revered one? Wang Lan frowned, but he still shook his head. No, State Preceptor Ching Hai doesn't have to do this. He's now the State Preceptor of Man Country. He'd rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. He has no reason to do this. Besides, he and the revered one are natural opposite. There's no possibility of reconciliation. Isn't colluding with the revered one like asking a tiger for its skin? That's true. The revered one definitely wants State Preceptor Ching Hai's 2 golden cicadas. However, the clear space would can't be casually dropped, and it's buried underground. Wang Lan thought for a while. Is there an alternate space nearby? The Nanzhao country's reclaimed space is nearby. Why? That's right. Wang Lan's eyes flashed. I told State Preceptor Ching Hai that the clear space would can only guarantee that I can arrive at the fastest speed in the same spacetime. However, I don't know if I'm in the alternate space. State Preceptor Ching Hai is about to go to the alternate space. He's worried that we won't know where he is, so he left the clear space wood behind. The clear space wood is telling us that he's going to the alternate space. Let's go. The two didn't dare to hesitate and rushed to the reclaimed space 10 kilometers away. Nanzhao country was the country with the least presence in the Golden Triangle. The Golden Triangle was bordered by 5 countries, and Nanzhao country was the weakest. Because they had to survive in the cracks, Nanzhao country had developed a character where they didn't have their own opinions. Nanzhao country's way of doing things also affected their people, causing them to be called the most undignified Nanzhao people in the world. Nanzhao people could be unyielding in their own country, but once they were in front of outsiders, they would kneel down and never stand up. Sometimes, Wang Lan couldn't believe it when he heard some rumors about Nanzhao country. How could a country swallow their anger to such an extent? If it wasn't for the Jade State taking care of this little brother, Nanzhao country would have been eaten clean by the other 3 countries. In South Asia's Golden Triangle, Jade State was the only country that had a good relationship with Nanzhao country. Of course, the prerequisite was that the Nanzhao nation was more obedient. At the entrance of the Nanzhao nation's reclamation space, there was an endless stream of reclaimers coming in and out, each of them carrying parcels to the trucks. Seeing this scene, Wang Lan suddenly felt doubtful. Was this really an unexplored space of the Nanzhao nation? No matter how he looked at it, it looked like a cargo port. Don't worry about that. Let's sneak in and find Imperial Tutor Ching Hai first. With Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyan's strength, sneaking into the defenseless Nanzhao kingdom to open up space was just a piece of cake. They could transform into wind and mist. In any case, the Nanzhao nation's garrison did not exist. After entering, it was indeed a barren land. Other than the transportation path, Wang Lan couldn't see a single campsite. It was like a desolate ancient road in the Gobi Desert, and a group of distant merchants were traveling on the road. Logically speaking, a large camp should be set up at the entrance of the new space, with fortifications that were easy to defend and hard to attack. Even if there were many lines of defense on the front lines, this place was the last line of defense against the exotic beasts, so they had to treat it seriously. But in the Nanzhao nation, there was no such thing? After entering, Wang Lan could actually head to any direction in the alternate space at will. He didn't need to hide his tracks. How can an unexplored space of the Nanzhao nation be called an unexplored space? That's like a joke, Yu Ruoyan said, also feeling that it was unreasonable. Everyone has their own fate. Forget it. Let's find Imperial Tutor Ching Hai. Boom! At that moment, a trembling wave of astral power was transmitted from afar. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyan's figures flashed, instantly disappearing from their original spot. In the depths of the unexplored space of the Nanzhao nation, at the edge of a huge pit, 6 strange-looking Takashi Hoshi slowly appeared. They stood at the edge of the pit and looked at the scorched pit. They exchanged glances, their expressions turning serious. He missed? He ran away. This Manji nation's imperial tutor is quite something. He can even dodge like that. He didn't dodge at all. A voice suddenly rang out. A monk wearing a red kasaya slowly walked over from the periphery of the pit. His hair and beard were pure white. If not for his pair of hazy eyes, he would have looked like an otherworldly expert with his eyes closed. Honored one of the world, you said he didn't dodge? Then why didn't he? Because one of the 2 golden cicadas he carries is an invisible golden cicada. It can make itself and its host invisible. The invisible state makes him immune to all physical and elemental attack. It lasts for 5 minutes. The cooldown time is 1 hour. No wonder. Can the revered one of the world find him? A man wrapped in black tights asked in a low voice. There's no need to find him. Honored one of the world looked coldly at the pit, the corners of his mouth rising slightly. Because he can't move in the invisible state, he'll appear in the same place after 5 minutes. This ability is a good ability for those who don't understand it, but for those who do, it's of little value. 5 minutes are almost up. Qinghai, why haven't you shown yourself yet? Along with honored one of the world's words, the space in the pit slightly distorted. A figure gradually emerged like a phantom in the water. State Preceptor Qinghai stared at the old man on the ground with a complicated expression. 30 years ago, honored one of the world was a powerhouse respected by everyone in the temple. Even now, many people who followed honored one of the world still had fantasies about honored one of the world. State Preceptor Qinghai still didn't understand why honored one of the world would betray him. Little Qinghai, don't look at me like that. You'll only make me feel that you're a waste. Don't you understand why? Why would I betray you? Ha ha. As the state preceptor of the country of man, the question you should ask isn't why, but victory and defeat and benefits. There's no why in this world, only eternal benefit. It was you who killed Qingqiao, Qingkong, and Qingming? That's right. Honored one of the world didn't quibble, and calmly admitted it. Actually, with my strength, it's enough to have the King Kong golden cicada. I don't need the other 6 golden cicadas. When I learned of Qingqiao's whereabouts, I killed him and took the golden cicada without saying anything. I didn't need it that much, and it wasn't to take revenge on Master for betraying me. I just felt that I should take back what I lost with my own hands. That's all. Since that's the case, then, you deserve to die. As soon as he finished speaking, a buzzing sound rang out. A golden cloud slowly rose above State Preceptor Qinghai's head. His entire body also slowly turned golden, and his star power surged. Your invisible golden cicada is already useless. Now you only have this Force golden cicada left. Although the Force golden cicada can provide you with an endless supply of star power, my stupid junior brother probably didn't tell you that the amount of star power has little to do with strength. Even if you have more star power, if the Takashi Hoshi you use only has a weak power, you're nothing more than a rabbit that doesn't know fatigue. Buddha golden body! State Preceptor Qinghai suddenly roared. His body instantly swelled and turned into a 20-meter-tall Buddha statue. The Buddha statue had 3 heads and 6 arms, and its face was different. Glaring Vajra. Light wheels appeared between the Buddha statue's hands. In an instant, balls of golden energy appeared in the light wheels. The moment the energy balls were formed, they blasted towards the crowd below. It was as if a bomber had just flown over and dropped bombs. Boom, boom, boom. The ground was instantly filled with dust. Smoke and dust filled the sky and covered half of the golden Buddha statue's body. Suddenly, the smoke and dust rolled. A huge golden cicada rushed out of the smoke and pounced on the Buddha statue. The Buddha statue instantly turned around and punched the huge golden cicada with both fists. Clang, there was a loud noise, as if a wooden ram had hit the huge twilight bell. The golden cicada was unmoved. It still lay on the Buddha statue. The Buddha statue lost its balance and fell to the ground. Boom! The golden cicada held the Buddha statue tightly. The Buddha statue didn't want to just sit there and wait for its death. The star power around it surged. One energy ball after another bombarded the golden cicada's face. Boom, boom, boom. The golden cicada's terrifying mouth was deformed by the bombardment of the huge energy bombs. But it still held on to the Buddha statue's body and pressed it to the ground. The mighty strength golden cicada was too strong. The mighty strength golden cicada could easily lift a mountain. Wouldn't it be easy for it to press down a 20-meter-tall Buddha statue? I said, it's useless no matter how much star power you have. Go to hell. Shinfa World Honored Warrior's arm suddenly turned into a huge golden sword and slashed at Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai's head. Pust! There was a sound of something breaking through the air. Shinfa World Honored Warrior's expression changed instantly. He slashed his sword to the side. Flames appeared in the sky. There was a loud noise. Shinfa World Honored Warrior's body was instantly pushed back. In the sky, a star suddenly lit up, and the star instantly grew bigger, turning into a meteor that rushed over rapidly. In the meteor, Wang Lan's Zanpakuto was burning with flames. Pust! Wang Lan landed on the back of the mighty strength golden cicada and stabbed down. Looking at Wang Lan's appearance, Shinfa World Honored Warrior's expression instantly became ugly. They had tried their best to lure Ching Hai to the remote Nanzhao country to open up space, but they didn't expect Wang Lan to be able to find them in such a short time. But it doesn't matter. Let them find me. With 3 golden cicadas, my strength is no less than Sonic artist Sony. Even if you come, what can you do? The golden cicada's carapace is extremely hard. Even armor-piercing bullets can't leave a trace on the golden cicada's body. You want to hurt the golden cicada with a single stab? If you can hurt a single hair, I'll change my surname to yours. Pust! The Zanpakuto with the bright yang sword soul stabbed into the mighty strength golden cicada's body with almost no resistance. The Zanpakuto was also covered with the bright red Samadhi True Fire. In an instant, the Samadhi True Fire was transmitted into the golden cicada's body. The flames burned fiercely. The mighty strength golden cicada instantly rose from the ground and flew into the sky. Visible to the naked eye, a flame spewed out from the back of the mighty strength golden cicada like a fountain. How is it possible? Shinfa World Honored Warrior's eyes widened in disbelief. Wang Lan actually stabbed the golden cicada with a single stab? This was impossible. The golden cicada's body was hard and strong. Even Sony couldn't hurt it. How could it be hurt by a light stab? And even if it was a light stab and the blade pierced into its body, aren't you a bug? Don't bugs have no sense of pain? No matter how you look at it, the injury wasn't serious. Why did the mighty strength golden cicada suddenly twitch like it was about to die? Chapter 508. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, the Herculean golden cicada in the sky suddenly fell from the sky like a kite with a broken string and crashed into the ground. At that moment, the Samadhi True Fire that was burning in its body started to burn outside the Herculean golden cicada's body. How is this possible? How is this possible? Shinfa's eyes widened in disbelief. The Herculean golden cicada was a powerful golden cicada, second only to the King Kong golden cicada. Back then, his ancestor had used the Herculean golden cicada to kill 3 superheroes from the White Eagle Nation. However, just now, it had been killed by Wang Lan's light sword? Pft! Shinfa spat out another mouthful of blood, and his expression changed drastically. He had never believed that Wang Lan's strength was as amazing as the legends said. Although he was only at the galaxy grade, he had the combat power of a half-step astral soul. What kind of joke was this? The galaxy grade was the galaxy grade. If the Takashi Hoshi's level did not count, then what was the point of setting the Takashi Hoshi's level? Why was he always suppressed by Sony? Even if he had the King Kong golden cicada that could kill a titled expert, he did not even have the courage to attack Sony. Wasn't it because Sony was an astral soul expert? This was the suppression of levels. Wang Lan was only at the galaxy grade. Therefore, although the wings of heaven had warned him many times, he had never cared. Xinfa did not believe that a galaxy grade could threaten him, who was at the peak of the star sea grade and had the golden cicada. However, just now, in an instant, the Xinfa felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Wang Lan had killed the Herculean golden cicada with a light sword? Wang Lan appeared beside State Preceptor Qing Hai. He looked at State Preceptor Qing Hai, who had returned to his human form, and casually threw out a life halo. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. He is the culprit behind the tragedy in the cloud sea space." Qing Hai pointed at Xinfa and said excitedly, "We must not let him escape." Whoosh! A figure descended from the sky. Yu Ruoyun, who seemed to be bathed in a mist, landed beside Wang Lan. Her aura instantly locked onto the 7 people present. "Are you Wang Lan?" A man wrapped all over like a ninja slowly pulled out the katana on his back and took a step forward. "Looking at your outfit, I actually find it somewhat familiar. My teacher died in your hands. Today, I will avenge my teacher." The middle-aged man held his saber in front of him, his killing intent boiling and raging. "Your teacher? Which one?" "Sonic Speed, Sony." "Wang Lan, remember my name is Ni." Shua, a stream of light flashed by, and everyone took a step back nervously. Wang Lan's speed was too fast. Fast like a shooting star was an understatement. At this moment, it was as though he had jumped through space. Everyone only saw a blur in front of their eyes before Wang Lan's figure appeared behind the man in black. Wang Lan's battle soul blade was rippling with a faint blue light. The man in black stared with bloodshot eyes and turned his head with difficulty. In that instant, he didn't see anything, nor did he have time to do anything. He only knew that when Wang Lan took that step and slashed with his blade, he already had no chance of survival. A line of blood appeared on his waist. Blood flowed out from the line of blood. Wang Lan's blade had already cut him in half. "But I didn't even have time to say my name. I didn't finish. My name is Nick." Wang Lan instantly attacked, killing an early-stage Astral Sea Realm expert in one move. This time, not only did it intimidate Xinfa World Sovereign, but it also intimidated all the experts of the Birds of Heaven. Everyone finally understood why the Wings of Heaven wasn't willing to join hands with them. It turned out that the Wings of Heaven already knew that they weren't Wang Lan's match. Wang Lan's strength was too terrifying, too frightening. What Birds of Heaven's must-kill list? Although the reward was good, although the contribution was great, you still had to be alive to take it. How could such a high reward be taken so casually? "Leave 2 people behind, we'll retreat," Xinfa World Sovereign shouted in a low voice. The moment he finished speaking, his figure flashed and was about to rush behind. As for the remaining 2 golden cicadas, forget it. How could golden cicadas be more important than their lives? However, the moment Xinfa World Sovereign was about to escape, a water screen suddenly appeared behind him. In the water screen, Yu Ruoyun's figure appeared like a reflection in a mirror. Water screens appeared one after another, completely sealing off the escape route of Xinfa World Sovereign and the rest. "Charge!" Xinfa World Sovereign hesitated slightly, then sped up and shouted again. A white-clothed Astral Sea Realm expert was arranged to be a frontal assault to test Yu Ruoyun's strength. Wang Lan's strength was already so abnormal. It couldn't be that this woman was also abnormal, right? However, in reality, perhaps Yu Ruoyun's strength was even more abnormal than Wang Lan's. Almost at the moment when the white-clothed Indian rushed in front of the water screen, Yu Ruoyun walked out from the water screen. The water screen behind her instantly turned into a stream of sword energy that looked like flowing water. With a light flick, the sword energy bloomed like flowers, hitting Xinfa World Sovereign and the rest like raindrops filling the sky. Xinfa World Sovereign quickly summoned the 7 Orifices Golden Cicada to form a shield in front of him, and the rest also displayed their various abilities. Each one of them used a defensive Takashi Hoshi technique. Crackle, crackle. There was a soft sound of rain hitting banana leaves, and a round of attacks passed by. Xinfa World Sovereign carefully raised his head from behind the shield. Just as he was about to control the 7 Orifices Golden Cicada to return to its original form, he discovered that the cicada in his hand already had no reaction. Instantly, the connection between his spiritual sea and the 7 Orifices Golden Cicada was cut off, and he violently spat out a mouthful of blood. Yu Ruoyun's move was a water attribute magic recorded in virtuous like water. It carried the power of law, and normal astral sea realm Takashi Hoshi simply couldn't withstand it. Even if the 7 Orifices Golden Cicada could transform into thousands of illusions, he still had a limit after all. The gigantic strength Golden Cicada was like paper under the bright Yang Sword Soul, and the 7 Orifices Golden Cicada's defensive power naturally couldn't withstand the profound attack of virtuous like water. Xinfa World Sovereign's surprise had not yet subsided when an even more frightening scene appeared. The 2 people who followed him to break out of the encirclement used their earth and crystal defenses, but Yu Ruoyun's attack had already ended. Why were these 2 people standing still on the spot? Suddenly, the 2 people's bodies shook together, and then they collapsed to the ground under Xinfa World Sovereign's horrified gaze. Blood was gurgling from the foreheads of the 2 people. Upon closer inspection, it was discovered that the bodies of these 2 people were already riddled with holes, and they were beaten like sieve. They should have dodged Yu Ruoyun's attack. No matter how sharp the attack was, as long as it didn't hit, it would be ineffective. But if it was blocked, it would be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The hard crystal defense couldn't withstand the attack of the raindrop sword chi, and the earth attribute naturally couldn't block it either. Yu Ruoyun gently waved her hand and killed the 2 astral sea realm expert. At this moment, after Wang Lan's soul slasher beheaded the 2 astral sea realm experts behind him, Xinfa World Sovereign was horrified to discover that he was the only one left. There was only 1 golden cicada left, but there were still 3 enemies, plus 2 golden cicadas. Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound, and Wang Lan was already standing within 50 meters of Xinfa World Sovereign, and his last golden cicada could devour everything within 50 meters. Xinfa World Sovereign's expression instantly became distorted. Go to hell! The power of devouring suddenly wrapped Wang Lan, and the space where Wang Lan was also compressed in an instant. Wang Lan flew straight to the mouth of the devouring golden cicada and was about to be devoured in the next moment. A sword light tore through the space, and Wang Lan slashed down, leaving an afterimage in the void. The devouring power of the devouring golden cicada disappeared in an instant. It was a blessing to be able to eat, but the prerequisite was that the stomach was good. Anything else? Wang Lan looked at Xinfa World Sovereign with a sneer. As soon as his voice fell, the devouring golden cicada split into 2 halves and fell in front of Xinfa World Sovereign. If he fought, he definitely couldn't beat him, and if he ran, there was no way out. Xinfa World Sovereign looked at the approaching Wang Lan and couldn't help but retreat. But before he could retreat 3 steps, a strong threat came from behind, and Xinfa World Sovereign's face turned white. Xinfa World Sovereign's heart collapsed, and Imperial Preceptor Qing Hai's heart was more or less the same. Was this the gap? Was this the stark difference between them? In Imperial Preceptor Qing Hai's view, any one of the 6 experts Xinfa World Sovereign brought could turn the Man Nation upside down. The 7 of them came and could ignore the Man Nation as if they were in no man's land. If Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun didn't come, Xinfa World Sovereign would have no solution for the Man Nation. The final outcome would be Xinfa World Sovereign easily taking away all the golden cicadas, and the Man Nation wouldn't even be able to touch a hair of his. But now? The 7 experts who were unrivaled in the eyes of the Man Nation were instantly shaved clean by Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun. The 2 of them killed 6-star Sea Realm experts right in front of Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai's eyes. Those were Star Sea Realm experts, not some low-level nebula warriors. The 2 of them just waved their hands and killed them? Wasn't this too inhumane? Could this be the real Jade State, the powerful Jade State? Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai recalled the friction between the Man Nation and the Jade State over the past few years. For the border territorial issues, for the fishing boat border issues, for the groups of Takashi Hoshi from the Man Nation who smuggled into the Jade State, they had to turn around and criticize the Jade State for instigating the Takashi Hoshi from the Man Nation to defect. The ignorant were truly fearless in these matters. Before this moment, the Imperial Preceptor thought that the difference between the Man Nation and the Jade State was only in numbers, and that the difference in numbers was only because the Jade State had a larger population and the Man Nation had a smaller population. But now, Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai was faced with a cruel reality. In terms of numbers, the Man Nation was vulnerable. In terms of quality, the Man Nation was also vulnerable. If the Jade State wanted to, they could just send a small team like Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun. They didn't need a lot, just 10 people would be enough. These 10 people could destroy the entire Man Nation. Plop! Suddenly, Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai unexpectedly knelt on the ground. Wang Lan didn't expect this scene. "Hero, please spare my life." Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai prostrated himself on the ground. "I've seen the savagery of the demons and the ferocity of the birds of paradise, but this is the first time I've seen someone kneel down and beg for mercy like you. Are you sure this isn't a trick?" I wouldn't dare. Both of you are stronger than me. In the current situation, I definitely can't escape, and no one will come to save me. I don't want to die, so please spare my life, hero. You're the one who did it in the southern region of the Sea of Clouds? Wang Lan's eyes flashed with killing intent as he coldly shouted. "Hero, I'm just following orders. The higher-up said that El Niño is hard to come by in 100 years. If we can use this opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the Jade State, it would be great. I didn't want to do this, but if I didn't listen to orders, I would have died." "Humph, do you think the birds of paradise will do things so easily? With your strength, you can be considered one of the higher-ups of the birds of paradise. If you don't spit out some information, how can I let you go?" Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai's expression changed, and beads of cold sweat rolled down his face. "Speak, what's your purpose?" "I'll speak." Boom! A loud sound rang out without warning. The moment Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai said, "I'll speak," his head suddenly exploded like a big watermelon. Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai's headless corpse twitched slightly, then fell straight down. It seems that the birds of paradise are really plotting something. The restriction in the birds of paradise's mind will only detonate when they reveal their secrets. Wait, what birds of paradise? You're saying that Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai is a member of the birds of paradise? You already knew? State Preceptor Ching Hai suddenly realized something. From these words, he inferred a fact that made his chest explode. Chapter 509. Wang Lan had just met Xinfa Revered One, and they started fighting without a word. They basically didn't say anything during this period. But now, Wang Lan clearly knew that the other party was the birds of paradise? What did this mean? It meant that the people of Jade State already knew that the other party was the birds of paradise. The United Nations had already agreed that no matter what the birds of paradise did, it had nothing to do with their country. Yet, they still dared to question the Vine Nation? And they even sent people to negotiate? Wasn't this just trying to gain something without risking anything? Wasn't this cheating? Looking at the angry State Preceptor Ching Hai, Wang Lan smiled indifferently. We didn't know that they were the birds of paradise before. If that idiot didn't say that he was Sony's disciple, how would I know their identity? Wang Lan's smiling expression was very hateful in the eyes of Ching Hai, but thinking back to the conversation before, This was the only reason that made sense. Well, even the Vine Nation didn't know that the Shinfa had joined the Birds of Paradise, so the Jade State shouldn't know. But now that you've confirmed that they are the Birds of Paradise, can you cancel the accusation against the Vine Nation? That won't do. Wang Lan still smiled and shook his head. Who asked the Vine Nation to hide it for so many years? And keep saying that the 7 golden cicadas have been passed down in the Vine Nation. If we don't accuse you, who should we accuse? Moreover, don't you think that you've been covering up for the Shinfa's identity? And for so many years, you've used the golden cicadas as a bargaining chip to swindle benefits from the international community. If this is settled, I'm afraid that the Vine Nation won't be able to bear it, right? You. State Preceptor Ching Hai angrily looked at Wang Lan, but there was nothing he could do. Wang Lan was right. If he accused the Vine Nation of covering up for the Birds of Paradise, the accusation would be more serious than the accusation against the Jade State. Forget it. Now that the truth has been revealed, can you explain this matter? At least our mission has been completed. We are only responsible for investigating the truth of the matter. Imperial Preceptor, please rest assured that we will truthfully report all the causes and effects to the top, including the true identity of the revered one, Yu Ruoyun said lightly. The group of people flashed and headed out of the wasteland reclamation space. But along the way, Wang Lan kept feeling that something was left behind. The exit of the unexplored space was right in front of him, but Wang Lan suddenly stopped in his tracks. What's wrong? Yu Ruoyun and Imperial Preceptor Ching Hai also stopped and asked. Something's not right. I feel like I've overlooked something. Wang Lan lowered his head and frowned. Something's wrong. Of course something's wrong. God is blind. The cautious operators of our countries have invested a lot of manpower and financial resources to open up the wasteland space, fearing that the slightest carelessness will lead to the destruction of the country and the loss of the family. But this time, El Niño has wasted the decades of hard work of our countries. On the other hand, the Nanzhao nation had not done anything and was not affected at all. It turned out that there were benefits to being weak in a country. How could they be let off so easily because they had no value? What a joke. Wang Lan's expression suddenly changed. State Preceptor Ching Hai, are you trying to sow discord in the Nanzhao nation? Yu Ruoyun shouted in a low voice. In the Golden Triangle region, the Nanzhao nation had the best relationship with the Jade nation. Of course, one of the reasons was that every time the Nanzhao nation was bullied, they would complain to the Jade State. Then, the Jade State would punish the disobedient Nanzhao nation. In this way, the Jade State and the Nanzhao nation had become closer. Many citizens of the Nanzhao nation even consciously regarded the Jade State as the sovereign state of the Nanzhao nation. As mentioned before, the Nanzhao nation was known as the most shameless country. Not only were they not ashamed of this, they were proud of it. Of course, the more obedient the Nanzhao nation was, the more the Jade State liked it. Therefore, when she heard State Preceptor Ching Hai's words, Yu Ruoyun also retorted. However, Wang Lan was not thinking about the problem of words. Instead, he was thinking about the truth. Ruoyun, I remember that the Sea of Cloud space is very close to the alternate spaces of the other 4 countries, right? It is indeed very close. Wang Lan quickly squatted down and drew the north-south coordinates on the map. Then, he drew the location of the Sea of Clouds space on the map. Ruoyun, draw the locations of the Nanzhao nation, the Vine nation, the Titanium nation, and the Nest nation for me. Although she did not know what Wang Lan wanted to do, Yu Ruoyun did not hesitate. She squatted down and quickly drew their respective spaces. The spaces of the Vine nation, the Titanium nation, and the Nest nation are very small. They are not even 1/10 the size of the Sea of Clouds space. The space of the Nanzhao nation is even smaller. Because of this, even if the Nanzhao nation did not open up any spaces, there would not be any cracks in the alternate spaces. The alternate spaces would be absorbed by the surrounding open spaces. Therefore, the Nanzhao nation's management of the open spaces is very casual. It does not matter if they want it or not. At most, they can just shut it down. That's not right. Wang Lan's eyes suddenly flashed. Then, he drew 5 arrows on a few spaces on the map. The Sea of Clouds space was destroyed by the birds of paradise in the south. The mutated beasts overran the area 500 kilometers south. The entire open space of the Vine Nation was almost completely destroyed. The Nest Nation fell from the northwest. Half of the open space was destroyed. The situation of the Titanium Nation and the Vine Nation is similar. Looking at this map, don't you think of anything? Yu Ruoyun suddenly realized the problem and said in surprise, "The places that the beast tide engulfed seem to be moving outwards from the Nanzhao Nation." Both of their expressions changed at the same time. Especially State Preceptor Qing Hai. He had indeed said this with the intention of giving the Nanzhao Nation a bad look. After all, the Nanzhao Nation was really too annoying. They took advantage of the fact that the Jade State held their leash and scolded the 3 neighboring nations for no reason, inciting friction at the borders. The problem was that although they were disgusting, they could not fight. Just as they were about to slap them, they would quickly run to the Jade State and beg for help. Even Qing Hai, who had cultivated Buddhism for decades, could not stand this kind of behavior. However, he did not expect that his words would give Wang Lan an important clue. The problem was, how did you think of such a tricky angle? However, the map in front of him clearly showed the problem. If this beast tide was carefully planned by the birds of paradise, then was their goal really just to carry out a terrorist attack? I have fought with the birds of paradise many times. Their realm is much higher than we think. Destroying for the sake of destroying is not their style. Wang Lan pointed to the north of the open space of the Nanzhao Nation. North of this place is the southern line of defense of the Yunkai area. It also radiates to the Titanium Nation, the Vine Nation, and the Nest Nation. I guess there must be something in this place that the birds of paradise are after. Let's go investigate, Yu Ruoyun suddenly said. State Preceptor Qing Hai was a bit hesitant. He wanted to immediately go back to the Vine Nation and tell the king that the Vine Nation was not responsible for this incident. However, in this situation, Qing Hai had no reason to refuse to investigate. Moreover, Wang Lan's words were like a knife to State Preceptor Qing Hai's chest. They did not need the Vine Nation to be responsible for the disaster in the Yunkai area, but whether the Vine Nation's goal in hiding this information was to cover for the revered one needed to be re-examined. If the situation developed in this direction, the Vine Nation would not be able to bear the consequences. Thus, he only hesitated for a moment before agreeing to go investigate with Wang Lan and the others. The Nanzhao Nation's unexplored space was small to begin with, and because almost all the alternate dimensions would be sucked into the Sea of Clouds' unexplored space and the rest would be absorbed by the surrounding countries, the Nanzhao Nation's unexplored space was one of the few unexplored spaces that had been completely conquered. Completely conquered meant that there were no strange beasts in the entire open space, or that there were only a few strange beasts. This was also the reason why the Nanzhao Nation was so casual in setting up the defense line of the open space. What was there to defend against if there were no strange beasts? However, due to the El Nino phenomenon, many open spaces would collide and connect. Many strange beasts from other dimensions would also enter the open space of the Nanzhao Nation. Under such circumstances, they would be courting death if they did not implement strict defenses. In fact, even if they did not defend against the El Nino phenomenon, it would not affect the open space of the Nanzhao Nation. The 3 of them carefully avoided the Takashi Hoshi of the Nanzhao Nation. After traveling 200 kilometers, they arrived at the northern border of the open space. The Nanzhao Nation originally did not have any chaotic fog, but now there is one. This means Wang Lan and the others hid in a pile of rocks and looked at the chaotic fog in the north from afar. This means that an unoccupied space has appeared in their open space. This space is a new spatial fragment. Let's go and take a look in the fog. State Preceptor Ching Hai was about to stand up when Wang Lan suddenly stopped him. Wait. A truck powered by soul orbs slowly emerged from the chaotic fog. There seemed to be something heavy on the truck. This scene reminded Wang Lan of the Takashi Hoshi moving goods in and out of the open space before they had entered. What's in the truck? I'll go and investigate. As soon as Yu Ruoyun finished speaking, a layer of hazy mist covered her body. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared into thin air before Wang Lan's eyes. In less than 3 minutes, Yu Ruoyun returned to Wang Lan's side. Her expression was extremely ugly. Space stones. A truck full of space stones. I knew there was something wrong with the Nanzhao nation. I didn't expect them to steal and sell space stones. Now that the evidence is conclusive, the Jade State won't help them this time, right? A lot of space stones. Oh no. Yu Ruoyun's face instantly turned pale. The two of them knew that many alternate dimensions had space stones. Some larger alternate dimensions would have a large number of space stone mines. However, if there were so many space stones that they needed to be transported by trucks, then there was a high probability that space-time gems would appear. The birds of paradise had wanted space-time gems for a long time. In order to snatch the space-time gems from the country of ice, the demon's spies had put in a lot of effort. If the birds of paradise's goal was the space-time gems, then everything would make sense. However, the entire world would be in danger. Without any hesitation, the three of them rushed into the chaotic fog. Following the tracks of the truck, Wang Lan's group easily found the space stone mine. After sinking into the mine, Wang Lan's and Yu Ruoyun's hopes collapsed when they saw the mountain-like spatial stone mine. Wang Lan hurriedly went deeper into the mine and successfully arrived at the center of the mine. Seeing the empty center of the mine, Wang Lan's heart instantly sank. Chapter 510. Yu Ruoyun and State Preceptor Ching Hai also came to Wang Lan's side. Yu Ruoyun's expression changed drastically. They had already dug to the center of the space stone, and the center was already empty. Seeing their expressions, State Preceptor Ching Hai was still a little confused. What's wrong? You don't look too good. The space stone has already been taken. We have to find it no matter what. Once the birds of paradise activate the space stone, the gate to the demon realm will open, and the demon's army will descend. What? So Nanzhao actually colluded with the birds of paradise and betrayed the human race? State Preceptor Ching Hai's face was also full of fear. Although he didn't like Nanzhao's vile behavior, he didn't dare to think that as a human country, a country with complete sovereignty, would betray the human race and side with the demons. Although the country was a little smaller and weaker, no one bullied you. Why not be a good person and become a dog? Although I can't think of a reason why Nanzhao would betray the human race, the reality is indeed so. Wang Lan sighed. Let's go back and report to the higher-up. The entire world is in a state of emergency. Who's there? Suddenly, a loud shout rang out. A group of Nanzhao Takashi Hoshi noticed Wang Lan and the other two outsiders and shouted. Not good, enemy attack. Wang Lan and the other two exchanged glances. In an instant, the three of them moved. The three of them turned into streaks of light and passed through the crowd like lightning. When they reached the corner of the tunnel, the group of Nanzhao Takashi Hoshi behind them was instantly killed by the three of them. Nanzhao's plot had been exposed, so naturally, they would try their best to stop Wang Lan and the others. Therefore, what Wang Lan and the others had to do now was to break out of the encirclement. Nanzhao was weak and had few Takashi Hoshi. However, the three of them didn't dare to underestimate them completely. No matter how weak they were still a country. No matter how few Takashi Hoshi there were, they could still take out 10,000 Takashi Hoshi. Unlike the country of ice and snow, which had been bullied to the brink of extinction by strange beasts, the Nanzhao country had quite a number of Takashi Hoshi. Takashi Hoshi wasn't like exotic beasts. Their brains weren't good, and they only knew how to charge. Humans relied on their numbers and intelligence to stand out from the competition of nature and stand at the top of the food chain. Wang Lan might not care about 10,000 exotic beasts, but 10,000 Takashi Hoshi could bring Wang Lan a lot of trouble. Now, there was another problem. Although the space stone mine had been discovered in the Nanzhao Nation, and Wang Lan had deduced that the Nanzhao Nation was cooperating with the Birds of Heaven, and that the Birds of Heaven had successfully obtained the spacetime stone, the spacetime stone had been discovered. However, these were all just speculations. Before the United Nations verdict, Nanzhao was still a country with sovereignty over Sky Blue. The Takashi Hoshi in Nanzhao were still human warriors. Wang Lan could kill 10 or 100 Takashi Hoshi without batting an eyelid, but was he going to kill thousands of Takashi Hoshi from Nanzhao before the United Nations verdict? Even if Wang Lan had the ability to do so, he couldn't get over that hurdle in his heart. What was it about killing one person was a sin, but killing 10,000 was a hero? Killing 10,000 people was based on the righteousness of the people. Killing for the sake of killing was not a hero at all. After successfully charging out of the mine and leaving the fog of chaos, Yu Ruoyun sensed a large number of Takashi Hoshi rushing north. It wasn't that Nanzhao didn't have any Takashi Hoshi in the open space, but they were all concentrated in one direction. Sneak over. Try to avoid conflict. A large number of Takashi Hoshi, about 200 of them, spread out over a 1-kilometer area like a net. Wang Lan used underground travel to easily hide from the search above. He emerged from the ground a kilometer away from the 200 people and rushed towards the exit of the open space. The three of them were extremely fast. After about 20 minutes, they were about 10 kilometers away from the entrance of Nanzhao's open space. However, at that moment, Yu Ruoyun sensed that Nanzhao had already put up layers of blockade. Based on the tides of star power, there were at least 5,000 Takashi Hoshi intercepting them within 10 kilometers. The exit of the open space was the only way in and out. Nanzhao was sure that Wang Lan and the others would choose to break through. The three of them gathered in a hidden corner. Nanzhao's defense is pretty good. I thought that since Nanzhao was so lax, the quality of their Takashi Hoshi shouldn't be high. Don't you know, Major General? State Preceptor Ching Hai glanced at Wang Lan and smiled. There was a hint of sarcasm in his smile. Every year, students from Nanzhao go to Cebu Gakuen, Jade State's key university, to study. They also hire Takashi Hoshi soldiers from Jade State to help them train their soldiers. The quality of Nanzhao's military was personally taught by Jade State. Now, I don't know how the Jade State's geniuses will deal with the things you teach them. No matter how tight the defense is, it will be useless if there is an invisible enemy. Yu Ruoyun said calmly and stood up slowly. My virtuous Ruoshui can be invisible and penetrate. Let me try to sneak in first. Wang Lan was absolutely confident in Yu Ruoyun's strength. He nodded slightly. Be careful. Yu Ruoyun's body was covered in water vapor. In the blink of an eye, her figure seemed to blend into the air and disappeared. Even Wang Lan couldn't sense whether Yu Ruoyun had left or not. Eldest Prince, Carter's troops have just replied that they didn't find any infiltrators. Since the infiltrators can sneak in silently, they must have something to rely on. Carter's troops alone will be like looking for a needle in a haystack, a tall female Takashi Hoshi said to a middle-aged man with a salute. Nanzhao's eldest prince, Mocha, was a genius warrior of Nanzhao. He was proud of breaking through to the Star Sea realm at the age of 25. Mocha had a very high prestige in Nanzhao and was deeply trusted by the people of Nanzhao. No one doubted whether he would be the future heir to the throne. Even the king of Nanzhao didn't have such doubts. The king of Nanzhao had brought the eldest prince to meet other countries' dignitaries more than once. He had also said in public that Mocha could retire after a few more years of growth. In other times, The battle for the throne was accompanied by a rain of blood. Every time it was bloody. However, this time, the battle for the throne of Nanzhao was surprisingly calm. There were 3 princes in Nanzhao. The second prince was 25 years old, and the third prince was only 18 years old. However, the 2 princes were very low-key and honest. They unanimously expressed that they had absolute faith in their eldest brother. In fact, it wasn't that they didn't want to fight or ascend to the supreme throne. It was just that eldest Prince Moko was too outstanding. He was so outstanding that he was the perfect heir in the eyes of the people of Nanzhao. He was powerful, highly educated, and controlled nearly half of the country's Takashi Hoshi and a quarter of the country's ordinary army. With such strength, even if the king wanted to take him down, the eldest prince could use a coup d'état to take over. The eldest prince frowned and knocked on the table. What about the identity of the intruders? It's not clear yet, but no matter who they are, not only did they invade our land, they also invaded the wasteland space. This is an act of aggression. We must make a decisive counterattack. I know. Our current defensive line alone may not be able to stop the intruders. Let the Gemini stars take action. Yes. Yu Ruoyun turned into a breeze and silently passed through the defensive lines. From a military point of view, Nanzhao's 10-kilometer defensive line had already learned the essence of the Jade State's Takashi Hoshi army. It was impossible for ordinary Takashi Hoshi or exotic beasts to pass through the defensive lines without being discovered. However, in front of Yu Ruoyun, who had special stealth skills, these skills were far from enough. Yu Ruoyun passed through 3 defensive lines in a row. Only when she felt that she could pass through them did she stop and quietly retreat. Yu Ruoyun could leave, but if she left, what would happen to Wang Lan and State Preceptor Qinghai? Since they came in together, they should leave together. At this moment, Yu Ruoyun's weakness as a woman was revealed. If it were Wang Lan, he would immediately leave the wasteland space and make a phone call to report back to the country. This was the most important thing. However, when Yu Ruoyun retreated, Nanzhao's defensive line suddenly changed. A team of hundreds of Takashi Hoshi suddenly rushed out of the defensive line and surrounded Yu Ruoyun. Seeing this scene, even if Yu Ruoyun didn't want to believe it, she had to admit that her whereabouts had been exposed. How was that possible? She hadn't done anything. There was no reason for her whereabouts to be exposed. At the front of the Takashi Hoshi army was a pair of twin sisters. One had short hair, while the other had twin ponytails. They looked like they were only 16 or 17 years old, but they were actually over 30 years old. Seeing the 2 of them, the corresponding information instantly appeared in Yu Ruoyun's mind. The twin stars of Nanzhao. In Nanzhao, the more famous experts were the first general, the 2 kings, and the 3 stars. Although the Nanzhao nation was small and weak, even if it was small and weak, it could still be placed on the international stage to compete with each other. The first general was the only 5-star general in Nanzhao. The second king was the eldest prince, Mocha. The 3 stars were naturally the twin sisters. These 4 people were all at the peak of the Star Sea realm. They could be considered experts in any country. Yu Ruoyun turned into water vapor and floated in the sky, quietly watching the Takashi Hoshi soldiers converging below. Yu Ruoyun didn't think of running. With her strength, there was no need for her to run. She was now very curious. How did Nanzhao discover her? Could it be that there was a flaw in her wind into the night that they didn't know about? Friend, show yourself. Since you dared to invade Nanzhao, you shouldn't be afraid to show yourself, right? The short-haired Gemini leaf looked up at the clouds in the sky and sneered. Under my eyes, your astral power has nowhere to hide. So it's an eye technique. No wonder. A voice came from the sky. Yu Ruoyun's figure appeared like a wind fairy. Who are you? Why did you invade Nanzhao? When the other party saw Yu Ruoyun's true appearance, his expression changed instantly. Although they all lived on the Asian continent, the differences between the races of each country were very clear. The appearance of Jade State's people was very easy to distinguish, so when Yu Ruoyun appeared, the Gemini leaf hurriedly questioned her. Invader, die. Suddenly, a shout came from the crowd below her. In an instant, an attack was launched into the sky. Wait! The Gemini leaf's expression changed greatly. Just as she was about to stop it, the Takashi Hoshi behind her launched an attack at Yu Ruoyun in the sky. Yu Ruoyun was naturally not to be trifled with. Previously, when she saw the other parties questioning, she thought that Nanzhao had some excuse to explain. However, when she saw that they had unexpectedly launched an attack without saying a word, she immediately confirmed her guess. Since you've betrayed the human race, don't blame me for cleaning up the house. In an instant, the astral power around her body was mobilized. A water curtain appeared below her, turning into a crystal and swallowing the attack from below. Not good, everyone, disperse, the Gemini leaf shouted in panic. Crystal reflection. Within the circular crystal wall, the Takashi Hoshi's attack from before instantly rushed out of the crystal wall and bombarded the ground. Chapter 511. Boom, boom, boom. A loud explosion rang out, and Wang Lan jerked his head up to look into the distance. Ruoyun and Nanzhao are fighting. Let's go and support them. Major General Wang, although I don't like Nanzhao, I have to remind you that Nanzhao is still a compatriot of mankind before it is ruled by the United Nations. If we go too far, we will be judged by the World Court. If they attack us, can't we defend ourselves? Of course, but the best way is to intimidate them and prevent a large number of casualties. Even if Nanzhao is really colluding with the birds of paradise, they are only colluding with the upper class and lower class. Wang Lan nodded silently. In an instant, the astral power around him surged, and the door to the Star Palace opened. The Phoenix Saint robe rushed out of the Star Palace and disintegrated. Then, flames spewed out from his body, and the cry of a phoenix resounded through the sky. If he wanted to intimidate Nanzhao and prevent too many casualties, he could only achieve his goal with a shocking appearance. Wang Lan could transform into a phoenix under his phoenix form. Among Wang Lan's 3 forms, the 5-colored phoenix was the most shocking. Accompanied by a phoenix cry, the image of a 5-colored phoenix wrapped around Wang Lan's body. Then, it gradually solidified. Powerful strength accompanied the phoenix's divine beast aura. Even State Preceptor Qing Hai, who was following behind Wang Lan, couldn't help but feel his heart skip a beat as he stared at the sky. Chirp! The cry of a phoenix resounded through the sky. Yu Ruoyun and the Takashi Hoshi of Nanzhao were on the verge of a fierce battle. Suddenly, the cry of a phoenix filled the sky and both sides paused. They looked up at the sky in the north and saw a beautiful phoenix rushing over. Phoenixes were divine beasts and naturally carried the aura of divine beasts. Even if it was just a phoenix image, it could still cause a huge impact on people's souls. The phoenix arrived and circled in the sky above everyone. After that, the phoenix image dissipated and transformed into a silhouette wearing silver saint robes beside Yu Ruoyun. The silver-white saint robe was covered with bright golden stripes, and on the outside of the dazzling saint robe, there were colorful flames burning. This scene was more like a god descending to the mortal world. The Takashi Hoshi below lost their ability to think. He's also an invader. Kill him. Humph. Wang Lan's eyes seemed to be able to see through the void and saw the instigator in the crowd. He raised his hand and a stream of sword chi fell down. Sword chi pierced through that person's chest, killing him on the spot. You! The Gemini stars were furious. Although the newcomer was emitting a terrifying pressure, the Gemini stars could barely resist it and were not afraid. And Wang Lan actually dared to murder the Gemini in front of them. How could they just sit by and watch? Brothers, combine the Takashi Hoshi technique. Stop! A loud shout resounded. Behind the crowd, another group of star martial artists hurriedly rushed over. It was a dark mass, and it looked like there were a few thousand people. Prince Mocha took the lead and rushed to the front, but he was stopped by the Takashi Hoshi army led by the Gemini stars. Eldest Prince, it's dangerous ahead. Please stay behind. Shut up and get out of my way. Although the Takashi Hoshi were unwilling, they did not dare to disobey the eldest prince's order. In the end, they made way for the eldest prince. The second princess of the Jade State's imperial family, Her Highness Yu Ruyan, and the youngest major general of the Jade State, the son of the famous Yen Emperor Wang Lan. I really did not expect that Nanzhao's best friend and Jade State's two strongest young geniuses would disregard the friendship between Nanzhao and Jade State and invade Nanzhao's space. As the eldest prince spoke, he strode in front of them and raised his head to question them. We violated the friendship between our two countries? Then what about Nanzhao's cooperation with Birds of Paradise to dig out the space-time gem and attempt to open the gate to the demon realm and summon the demons to invade? What did Nanzhao go against? Cooperation with Birds of Paradise? Digging out the space-time gem? I don't know what you're talking about. Eldest Prince, Jade Nation is trying to frame us with a crime. It seems that Jade State wants to annex Nanzhao. How dare they frame us with such a crime? Do you want to destroy Nanzhao? The Takashi Hoshi behind him suddenly became agitated. If you want to frame us with other crimes, it's fine. At most, you can just argue and quarrel with a middleman to mediate and the matter will pass. But you actually framed us with the crime of betraying the human race and defecting to the demons. What crime is that? That will destroy our country. Suddenly, the Takashi Hoshi of Nanzhao became angry. They originally thought that it was a misunderstanding. Although the Jade State had invaded Nanzhao's space and was trampled on. Nanzhao's face had been trampled on many times. They were already used to it. However, what you said was not just trampling on their face. You're going to destroy their country. Panic began to spread, and in an instant it turned into anger. At that moment a figure rushed over. The appearance of State Preceptor Qing Hai immediately attracted Mocha's attention. State Preceptor Qing Hai of Mang Country. I see. It seems that Jade State and Mang Country have reached an agreement? Is that why they betrayed Nanzhao? How do you plan to divide Nanzhao? Prince Mocha, are you still pretending? In the chaotic fog in the north, you've been brazenly mining the space-time gem. Is there a need to pretend to be a good person here? Mining the space-time gem? Mocha looked back in surprise. The Gemini star frowned, but still nodded. The mining of the space-time gem is under the orders of His Majesty. Prince Mocha's expression immediately became ugly. The space-time gem was prohibited by the United Nations and was not allowed to be mined. As a small country, Mocha knew the way of survival for a small country. They had to be obedient and do whatever a powerful country wanted them to do. If a powerful country was in a good mood, they could casually throw a bone that was not enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. But for a small country, it could fill their mouths with oil. In Mocha's opinion, mining the space-time gem was very stupid. However, Lord Wang Lan, even if Nanzhao country mined the space-time gem, we didn't sell it to other countries. Furthermore, is mining the space-time gem betraying humanity and colluding with the Birds of Paradise? Isn't your logic too ridiculous? If we're talking about mining the space-time gem, which country hasn't done it secretly? Back then, how did you destroy the top Takashi Hoshi family in Jade State, the Duanmu family? Wasn't it because they were in the space-time gem business? Jade State also has people who make space-time gems. Based on your logic, is the Jade State also colluding with the Birds of Paradise and relying on the demons? Humph, you're still quibbling? Since 2 years ago, we've announced to the world that the space-time gem left by the demons in the human world is hidden in a large space-time gem mine. The space-time gem can open the gate to the demon realm. This is also the reason why the demons invade the human world every 100 years. Any space-time gem can open the gate to the demon realm. I just saw that there's a space-time gem in the space-time gem you're mining now, and the space-time gem has already been taken away. The evidence is conclusive and irrefutable. Does Nanzhao country still dare to deny it? Mocha and the group of Takashi Hoshi warriors from Nanzhao were immediately intimidated by this shout. And it was at this moment that Wang Lan found an opportunity to take advantage of. His body instantly exploded, turning into a butterfly that fluttered and appeared beside Mocha in an instant. Then, his figure flashed and seized Mocha. Prince! Eldest prince! Bastard, let go of the eldest prince or else we'll. Seeing that Wang Lan had seized the opportunity to seize Mocha, the group of Takashi Hoshi from Nanzhao country started cursing in unison. Although Mocha had been kidnapped by Wang Lan, he wasn't worried about his own safety at all. In his mind, he was still recalling what Wang Lan had said. He knew about the spacetime gem, but he didn't know that someone was mining the spacetime gem. It might be laughable to say that as the eldest prince of Nanzhao country, who had control over half of the Takashi Hoshi in Nanzhao country, he didn't even know that someone was stealing and selling the spacetime gem. When he'd heard Wang Lan say that someone was stealing the spacetime gem in the chaotic fog, he hadn't contacted the spacetime gem. But now, Mocha only felt his hands and feet turn cold. If what Wang Lan said was true, then the Nanzhao nation would be hung on the pillar of shame and would never be able to recover. But could this be true? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Sir Wang Lan, are you sure that someone is mining the spacetime gem in the chaotic fog? Are you sure there's a spacetime gem there? Why do you think we're here? Why do you think I came here with State Preceptor Qing Hai? Don't tell me that as the eldest prince, you don't know anything about what happened in Jade State's Cloud Sea space? I do know a little. The frontline command center in the southern region of the Cloud Sea space was attacked, causing the entire front line to collapse. But wasn't the attack done by the Vine country? Ha ha! Eldest prince, you really hope that it was done by the Vine country? But unfortunately, it wasn't the Vine country, but your Nanzhao country. The Vine country's golden cicadas were stolen by the birds of paradise 30 years ago. The tragedy of the Cloud Sea space was caused by the birds of paradise. The Vine country, the Titanium country, and the Nest country were also visited by the birds of paradise, but not your Nanzhao country. That's why the three of us came to Nanzhao country to investigate. In the end, we found that the spacetime gem was located at the northern border of the Nanzhao country's Cloud Sea space. Because El Niño might cause a collision in the Cloud Sea space, causing the matter to be exposed, the birds of paradise attracted the beast tide to expand the area occupied by the strange beasts to ensure that no one would find out about your good deed. But we didn't expect that your actions would cause the Jade State to suspect you. Do you know what it means to lift a rock only to drop it on your own feet? State Preceptor Qing Hai's words caused Mocha's face to turn ashen. Lord Wang Lan, is what he said true? We have no reason to lie, and you can also send people to the northern defense line to take a look. The mine is too big to hide, so you can send people down to take a look. The spacetime gem in the center of the mine has already disappeared. You know the consequences of the spacetime gem being obtained by the birds of paradise. How could this be? Mocha was completely flustered, and fear appeared on his face. Lord Wang Lan, you indeed have no reason to lie to me, but the Nanzhao country has no reason to betray the human race either. The Nanzhao country is living well, so what reason do we have to betray them? We won't do this, and my father won't do this either. Ask these soldiers in front of you, which one of them would do this. But the truth is that they have already done it. Eldest Prince, please escort us out. Chapter 5:12. What are you going to do after we escort you out? Mocha hurriedly asked. Of course we're going to report the results of our investigation to the higher-up. This matter is too big, so we have to report it to the United Nations immediately. No, you can't report this to your country so rashly. Nanzhao country won't do this, and my father definitely won't do this. The truth isn't out yet, Mocha hurriedly blurted out incoherently. It's already very clear that without the king's orders, how could the birds of paradise enter and exit your reclaimed space so brazenly? Fine, even if the birds of paradise sneaked in, there are still your official Takashi Hoshi mining spatial stones in the mine? Outside the reclaimed space, there are truckloads of spatial stones being transported. Don't tell me you don't know? Don't tell me King Makai doesn't know? I really don't know. How about this, I can send you out, but you have to come with me to the royal capital to confront my father. If my father doesn't know, you have to find the mastermind behind this and prove Nanzhao country's innocence. What if your father knows? Then my Nanzhao country deserves it. We deserve whatever punishment we receive. However, you must investigate further. Otherwise, I would rather die in your hands than let you take even half a step out of the wasteland reclamation space. You think you can stop me? Wang Lan sneered. Prince Mocha, I don't know if you've received a piece of information from the Jade State recently. The Jade State's newly promoted titled expert, Greed, suppressed a beast tied by himself and killed 500,000 mutated beasts in one go. Among them, there were 3 mutated beasts with the strength of a titled expert and 1 with the strength of the 5 emperors? Mocha's pupils contracted violently. He had indeed received this piece of information. When he first heard it, he thought that the information had been spread too many times and the content had been exaggerated. After repeated confirmation, the final result was the same. Other than being the son of the Yen Emperor, His Majesty Wang Lan is also a titled expert from the Jade State. His title is Greed. The soldiers in front of you might not even be enough for Wang Lan to kill. Even if that's the case, we can still destroy the wasteland space and banish everyone into the spacetime turbulence. Wang Lan, I am not afraid of death, but I cannot let Nanzhao be branded as a traitor and be consigned to eternal damnation. I'd rather block all the Takashi Hoshi in Nanzhao and ask His Majesty Wang Lan to give Nanzhao a chance to defend itself. Wang Lan frowned slightly. Logically speaking, there was no reason for Nanzhao to betray him. It was no longer the land of ice and snow of the past, which had already reached the end of its tether. The Nanzhao nation was living quite comfortably. There were no strange beasts wreaking havoc or being bullied by other nations. However, the truth was right in front of his eyes. There was no room for quibbling. Yu Ruoyun silently nodded her head when she met his gaze. All right, I can give the Nanzhao kingdom a chance, but I will also call back home. However, I will tell them that I will be going to the capital to confront the king of Nanzhao kingdom. If Nanzhao state is really wronged, I will continue to investigate. The Jade State wants to recover the space-time gem more than anyone else. Sure. Just like that, the 3 of them walked out of the alternate dimension while holding Mocha hostage, surrounded by thousands of Takashi Hoshi. His Majesty Wang Lan, can you not hold me so tightly? Don't worry, I don't plan to run. Prince Mocha, you misunderstand. I'm not holding you so tightly to prevent you from running away, but to ensure that I can kill you the moment something happens. Even if I don't hold you, you won't be able to run away. A look of helplessness appeared on Mocha's handsome face. Do you think I don't care about my reputation? After leaving the alternate dimension, Yu Ruoyun immediately took out her phone and dialed a number. Hello, connect me to Sir Number 1. Hearing Yu Ruoyun's words, Mocha's expression instantly changed. Yu Ruoyun actually had the ability to directly contact Number 1? There wasn't any buffer time for this matter. However, it was not just Yu Ruoyun. Wang Lan also had the right to directly contact Number 1. Hello, Sir Number 1, this is Ruoyun. I have an urgent matter to report. We have already investigated and found out that the main culprit of the Yunhai alternate dimension was the Birds of Paradise. The Birds of Paradise's goal was to use the beast tide to disperse the Takashi Hoshi in the alternate dimension of the 5 nations. This was because the Birds of Paradise found the second space-time gem in the alternate dimension of Nanzhao. Although we found out about their scheme, we were a step too late. The space-time gem had already been obtained by the birds of paradise. However, the eldest prince of Nanzhao did not admit that they were in cahoots with the birds of paradise. Thus, we need to make a trip to the capital of Nanzhao to confront them. You mean, it's not just Yunhai, but the other nations are also facing the same situation? This was all done by the birds of paradise in order to secretly excavate the space-time gem? Yes. The space-time gem has already been obtained by the birds of paradise. They will open the gate to the demon realm at any time? Yes. I understand. Come back as soon as possible. Yes. At this moment, 3 cars slowly drove over and stopped in front of Wang Lan and the others. The 3 of you, please. Originally, Wang Lan and Mocha were in one car, while Yu Ruoyun and State Preceptor Qing Hai were in the other. However, the always cautious Wang Lan still wanted Yu Ruoyun to squeeze into the same car as him. Your Highness Wang Lan, what are you worried about? This is my personal car. Mocha was very unhappy with Wang Lan's distrustful behavior. Your Highness, where are we going? The driver asked in a low voice. Nonsense, to the palace. I want to see my father. Yes. The driver inserted the key and started the car. At that moment, the hair on Wang Lan's back stood on end. He pulled Yu Ruoyun into his embrace. Boom! With a loud sound, the flames instantly exploded. In an instant, the flames engulfed everything within a 200-meter radius. Within this 200-meter radius, hundreds of Takashi Hoshi were instantly engulfed by the terrifying explosion. After that, an even more intense wave of heat and radiation rapidly spread in all directions. A mushroom cloud rose in a terrifying manner. The vision in front of her suddenly became distorted. In an instant, Yu Ruoyun felt that her surroundings had changed. When she broke free from Wang Lan's embrace, what greeted her eyes was a bedroom. Prince Mocha, who was being held tightly by Wang Lan, was still in a daze. At this moment, Wang Lan's body was already drenched in cold sweat. It was both because of lingering fear and exhaustion. This teleportation of more than 2,000 kilometers had directly exhausted Wang Lan's last bit of spatial power. This was because Wang Lan had broken through to the Star Sea realm, and his astral power and spiritual power had increased again. Otherwise, Wang Lan, who was still in the initial stage of the galaxy realm, wouldn't have been able to complete this teleportation. Oh my God, what's going on? Where are we? Prince Mocha asked in shock after coming back to his senses. This is my home. This is Modu. What? Modu? Jade State's Modu? Why are we here? How did we travel 3,000 kilometers in an instant? No, this must be a joke. Prince Mocha hurriedly stood up and went to the window. He looked at the huge and unfamiliar city in the distance with a confused expression. This was definitely not the Nanzhao nation. Definitely not. Wang Lan, did you use teleportation? What happened? Yu Ruoyun asked hurriedly after understanding the situation. I'm not very sure, but when that person started the car, I felt a strong sense of danger. Without hesitation, I immediately used teleportation. I think there must be a bomb in the car. A bomb that can turn us into atoms in an instant. I understand. I'll call number 1 now. After saying that, Yu Ruoyun quickly picked up her phone and dialed number 1 again. After a few minutes, Yu Ruoyun put down the phone. Number 1 wants us to go to the capital. Let's go to the Beijing-Shanghai highway immediately. A plane will pick us up in a while. The 3 of them hurriedly went to the underground garage, got into the off-road vehicle, and drove out of Phoenix Square. Phoenix Square was less than 2 kilometers away from the highway. Therefore, they arrived at the designated highway section in less than 10 minutes. The highway section had already been sealed off, and there was not a single car on it. After parking the car by the roadside, the 3 of them got out. Prince Mocha looked around in confusion. What are we doing here? Aren't we going to the airport? This is the airport, Yu Ruoyun explained calmly. A roar was heard, and suddenly, a fighter jet appeared in the sky. It landed slowly and accurately in front of Wang Lan and the others. Moreover, it landed vertically. Prince Mocha was dumbfounded. Jade State's highway can be used as an airport? Jade State has the longest highway in the world. Oh my God, how many airports are there? It's beyond your imagination. Major General Wang Lan, Colonel Yu Ruoyun, and Prince Mocha, I'm Wang Wei, the pilot of the Southeast Military Region. I've been ordered to escort the three of you to the capital. Please board the plane. The three of them were Takashi Hoshi, so it was a piece of cake for them to jump into the fighter jet. The back seat was very small. Although it was a little cramped, it could barely fit 3 people. Yu Ruoyun was almost lying in Wang Lan's arms, and the two of them were tightly pressed together. The three of you, the conditions are limited, so please bear with it. But don't worry, the speed is very fast. After the pilot finished speaking, the plane slowly began to taxi. Being so close to Wang Lan, Yu Ruoyun's body began to heat up. This kind of opportunity could only appear in Yu Ruoyun's dreams. The longer she knew Wang Lan, the more they understood each other, and the more Yu Ruoyun understood how far apart she was from Wang Lan. She could be Wang Lan's closest comrade in arms, the most trusted partner, and the most intimate confidant, but she could not be his lover. The Yu family would not allow it, and neither would Wang Lan. As long as Yu Ruoyun revealed a little bit of her love for Wang Lan, their friendship would come to an end. Therefore, for the other two, this journey was very torturous, but for Yu Ruoyun, this was a rare opportunity. She could curl up in Wang Lan's arms like a lover, listen to his heartbeat, and feel his warmth. Then, Yu Ruoyun's cheeks became redder and redder, and Wang Lan's expression became more and more painful. Don't let your imagination run wild. Yu Ruoyun clenched her teeth and whispered in Wang Lan's ear. I swear I didn't, but it's not my fault that it's disobedient, right? If it's disobedient, I'll cut it off. Yu Ruoyun's voice, which was as soft as a mosquito, passed into Wang Lan's ears. Wang Lan trembled on the spot. Miraculously, the disobedient thing became obedient. Chapter 5:13. Dear friends from all over the world, I'm Mocha, the poor guy who was brutally murdered by the Jade State's Takashi Hoshi, according to General Ma Iman of Nanzhao. Yes, that's me, the eldest prince of Nanzhao. Today, I'm standing here to expose Ma Iman's lies. He's the biggest liar and the most shameless traitor in the world. Jade State didn't kidnap me, nor did they hurt me. As we all know, Nanzhao and Jade State have always been friendly neighbors and close partners. I studied in Jade State for 3 years, and I love Jade State very much. After our friend, the Jade Nation, discovered that Ma Iman was plotting a coup d'état, they sent my friend, Major General Wang Lan and Princess Yu, to rescue me. However, in the end, Ma Iman still launched a coup and killed my father and my second brother. She even put my younger brother on the throne as a puppet. Here, I'd like to announce to the world that I, Mocha, the eldest prince of Nanzhao, and the first successor of Nanzhao, do not recognize the legitimacy of Ma Iman's regime. He's a coup d'état, a traitor, and a terrorist. Here, I hope that the people of Nanzhao will be brave, strong, and united. I'll ask the United Nations to help rescue you. I hope that you can be brave and unite to fight against the illegal government, but you must protect yourselves and not make unnecessary sacrifices. Ma Iman's government is just a sunset. He won't be able to jump around for a few more days. Boom! Ma Iman angrily threw a chair and smashed the television into pieces. Immediately hold a press conference and announce that Prince Mocha has been controlled by the Jade State. He's been controlled by the Jade State. Yes, but the United Nations. I'll let you go. Ma Iman revealed a bloodthirsty expression. In the eyes of the servant, he was like a demonic wolf from ancient times. Instantly, the servant shuddered and rushed out of the office. Didn't Ma Iman know? He knew better than anyone. If Mocha and the others were all killed in the explosion, he could still distort the truth with his mouth. Even if the United Nations didn't believe him, They couldn't do anything to him without evidence. But now, Mocha was still alive and had publicly announced that he was the mastermind of the coup d'état and had exposed his conspiracy. Not to mention what the United Nations would do to him, even the Jade State and the nation of man would not let him go. Even though he had taken control of Nanzhao, Nanzhao was one of the weakest countries in the Asian continent. That nuclear explosion had killed thousands of Takashi Hoshi, Mocha's trusted aides. Not to mention a slap from the Jade State, even if the Vine State came to beat him up, he wouldn't have the strength to fight back. He was finished. He was definitely finished. Although it was his fate to be finished, Ma Iman was not willing to accept his fate. The only thing he could do now was to drag it out until the heat died down and the dust settled. Although Ma Iman knew that the situation would develop quickly and seriously, he did not expect it to be this serious and fast. Almost half an hour after Mocha's press conference ended, the United Nations spoke. After a vote by all the member states of the United Nations, I officially declare the Ma Iman government of Nanzhao as an illegal armed terrorist government and an international security target. The 5 permanent members of the United Nations have collectively declared war on Nanzhao to help Prince Mocha restore his country. As soon as the announcement was released, the whole world was in an uproar. It was not because of the result, but because of the speed of the announcement. For a time, the internet was full of jokes. The world's weakest country was declared war on by the world's 5 strongest countries at the same time. This experience is simply amazing. I thought Ma Iman had already arranged everything before launching the coup d'état. It turns out that he didn't prepare anything at all. Is he so stubborn? It's hard to imagine what General Ma Iman is feeling now. He's not dancing on the tip of a knife, but dancing among dozens of Gatling guns. General Ma Iman played a good game this time, but it's a pity that he screwed up. I've always thought that people in the European and American continents were courting death, but now I'm wrong. It turns out that there's a grandmaster of courting death in the Asian continent. All extreme sports enthusiasts pay respect to the grandmaster. All extreme sports enthusiasts pay respect to the grandmaster. The jokes were very lively and the various countries moved very quickly. The Pacific Fleet of White Eagle was rapidly approaching the South China Sea. This time, it was the alliance that had sent troops, so the Jade State's South China Sea was open. The Jade State and Nanzhao shared a border. The Southwest Military Region's fighter jets and missile troops were all in a state of war. Why would the 5 major countries need to go to war to deal with Nanzhao? Each country could simply throw a round of missiles and blow up Nanzhao. If the major countries launched long-range attacks, the Empire State would launch a joint attack by land and air. They were already unhappy with Nanzhao. Now that the state preceptor had been killed by Nanzhao, this hatred was irreconcilable. Wang Lan, it's enough to send Prince Mocha back to his country. Why are you and Yu Ruoyun joining in the fun? In the office of the Military Committee of the Ministry of National Defense, Commissioner Jean shouted with a serious face. That's a battlefield with modern weapons, not an alternate dimension. Any modern weapon is more lethal than an S-grade Takashi Hoshi. On the battlefield, shells don't have eyes. Even if you're a titled battle pet warrior, you can't guarantee that you won't be accidentally injured. Stay here and wait for Ma Iman's government to surrender before you go. Mr. Jean, I have a reason to go. You think that the 5 of us can't deal with Nanzhao? How can that be? We can just press a few buttons and Nanzhao will be gone. But Mr. Jean, have you forgotten about the space-time gem that was dug out? What if the space-time gem is in Nanzhao and they open the space-time gate in anger? I'm the only one in the world who can stop the space-time gem from opening. What if Ma Iman is driven to desperation and I'm not at the front line? This reason left Mr. Jean speechless. I'll report this to the higher-ups. Mr. Jean hurriedly left the office, leaving only Wang Lan, Yu Ruoyun, and Prince Mocha, who was trembling like an epileptic. How could a peak astral sea state expert have such a weak mentality? Mocha? What's wrong with you? Even if you're excited, you don't have to be so happy. Am I happy? I'm almost scared to death. Your Highness Wang Lan, my dear friend, you must save the Nanzhao kingdom. What do you mean? Didn't the United Nations save them? But your way of fighting is too savage. How can Nanzhao withstand a round of missiles from each of you? Wouldn't the Nanzhao nation be torn apart? No, it's not like we're throwing nuclear bombs. Nanzhao is only so big. If you fight like this, not even a mosquito can survive. What about the people of Nanzhao? You're thinking too much. We're not butchers who will only attack your military bases. Oh right, the coordinates of the military bases you provided are all true, right? If the explosion is wrong, we won't take the blame. It can't be wrong, unless Ma Iman moves the military bases. But they only have one day. They won't be able to move even if they want to. Soon, Mr. Jean returned and finally agreed to Wang Lan's request. Wang Lan didn't need the combat mission, but Wang Lan had to prevent the space-time gem from opening. He was the only person who could absorb the energy of the space-time gem to prevent the space-time gate from opening. They boarded the plane and arrived in Yunhai that afternoon. At this time, the countdown to the war reached 0. In an instant, thousands of missiles were launched from the southwest military region. At the same time, thousands of missiles from the Pacific Fleet in the South China Sea were launched. If one were to look at Nanzhao from the perspective of a satellite, they would see countless missiles flying in from all directions. They would turn into the skin of a bun, and Nanzhao was the minced meat lying in the skin of the bun. We will not yield to the despotic power of other countries, and we will not yield to bailing of the United Nations. We have the determination and confidence to fight to the end. Even if we have to fight to the last man, we will resolutely drive the invaders out of Nanzhao. Ma Iman passionately read the pre-war pledge. The pledge was not over yet. Boom, boom, boom. Countless missiles streaked across the sky and rushed to their respective target. In just a few minutes, there was a thunderous roar. Ma Iman didn't care about the pledge and hurried back to the command center. General, it's not good. All our military bases have been destroyed. All the airports, all the fighter jets, all the armored vehicles, all the artillery, all the missile bases, all of them have been blown to the ground. What? Modern warfare relied on mechanized weapons? No, it was now informationized, intelligent warfare. Although Nanzhao was small and weak, its annual military investment accounted for 70% of its financial income. With such investment, Nanzhao had its own air force, land force, armored vehicle force, and missile force. Unexpectedly, before the war had even officially begun, these forces that had been painstakingly built for decades had been destroyed in an instant. This wasn't like decades of hard work being returned to the pre-liberation era. This was decades of hard work being returned to the pre-liberation era in an instant. How could they fight? How could they fight? General, what do we do now? A lieutenant general asked with a mournful face. Reporting, General, it's not good. The ground and air forces of Manchuria have crossed the border and are attacking Zhao City. Their air force is opening the way and their armored forces are paving the way. They are irresistible. They will reach Zhao City within an hour. General, we are finished. We can't beat them. Let's surrender. Bang! With a loud bang, Ma Iman's finger sword blew up the head of the Major General in front of her. If you dare to shake the morale of the army again, kill without mercy. Order the land force to stop the armored forces of Manchuria and stall for time. We still have reinforcements. We still have reinforcements. When this order was given, Nanzhao's 50,000-strong army was in an uproar. Let them stop the armored forces of Manchuria? What would they use to stop them? Fight with their fists? Bite with their teeth? Block tanks with their bodies? What kind of joke was this? Without the support of the armored forces, without the support of the artillery forces to intercept the armored forces, The command center had gone crazy. After giving the order, Ma Iman hurried back home to her study. She took out a special cell phone and dialed a number. I'm almost finished. I'm almost finished. What are you doing? What are you doing? I know. You're almost finished. When the 5 major countries declared war on you, I knew that your country would be annihilated in an instant. As for them, they only lost a few missiles. A mocking voice came from the other end of the phone. Chapter 5:14. You're still in the mood to laugh at me? Hurry up and help me, or else Nanzhao will be destroyed, Ma Iman roared angrily into the phone. The birds of paradise need Nanzhao to establish their country. This is what we agreed on. If Nanzhao is destroyed, the birds of paradise will never have a stable home. Oh my God, I really wonder how you got your rank of general? Or is it because of the current situation that your brain is filled with sh*t? Now that Nanzhao is destroyed, even God can't save you. You actually don't understand? No. There's another way. Nanzhao and the birds of paradise can exist safely. Open the space-time gem and let the demon's army descend. Hee. A cold laugh sounded from the other end of the phone. You're really stupid. The gate to the demon realm cannot be opened in Nanzhao. Even if it can be opened successfully, the other countries will not hesitate to launch nuclear bombs. You think too highly of Nanzhao. What? At this moment, General Ma Iman finally understood. The birds of paradise had lied to him, completely lied to him. How could Ma Iman not consider the worst possible outcome when launching a coup? The worst possible outcome was to become the enemy of the entire world, so Ma Iman and the birds of paradise had an agreement before. Once the worst situation happened, the birds of paradise would activate the space-time gem and let the demon's army descend. Although Ma Iman would fall behind after the demon's army descended, there was not much difference between being suppressed by a powerful country and being suppressed by demons. Even if there were people above him, as long as there were countless people below him, it was enough. Of course, this was only the worst-case scenario. In Ma Iman's plan, the worst-case scenario might not necessarily happen. But reality was very cruel. If the beginning was not smooth, it would directly develop into the worst-case scenario. What was even more unacceptable was that the birds of paradise did not care about Nanzhao at all. It was impossible for them to open the space-time gate in Nanzhao. Bastard! Ma Iman angrily crushed the phone, his eyes instantly turning bright red. There's only one step left, there's only. Ma Iman suddenly had a decisive look in his eyes. His figure flashed and disappeared from the study. In order to control the puppet king more effectively, Ma Iman's house was less than 800 meters away from the palace. Ma Iman directly went to the palace. At this moment, everyone in the palace was as anxious as birds startled by the twang of a bow. Where is His Majesty the King? Ma Iman grabbed a maid and asked coldly. In his bedchamber. The maid's body trembled uncontrollably, like a little bird in a storm. Ma Iman released the maid and went straight to the third prince's bedroom. Kicking the door of the bedroom open, the newly crowned king hid under the table in fear, exposing his butt and shivering. Ma Iman grabbed the king and dragged him away as if he was a dead dog. She went straight to the great hall of the palace. Moses, I now command you to abdicate the throne to me. Ma Iman's voice sounded like a demonic call of death. How could the third prince dare to say no? This morning, his father and second brother were brutally murdered by him. The scene of blood gushing out scared Moses so much that he didn't have the slightest intention to resist. Yes, I will immediately abdicate the throne to you. I will give you everything. Don't kill me, quick! The third prince finished reading the abdication document and then took off the crown from his head with trembling hands. Ma Iman snatched the crown and put it on her head. Suddenly, she grabbed Moses by the throat and slowly lifted him up. I have planned for 50 years for my dream of becoming king. 50 years, why did all my previous efforts go to waste? Why did I fail? Why is your brother still alive? He should have obediently died. Even if I can't sit on this throne, I will sit on it. Even if I have to be destroyed, I will destroy the entire Nanzhao kingdom with me. Do you hear me? Go down and tell your father that the last king of Nanzhao kingdom is me, Ma Iman. Crack, with a crisp sound, Moses' neck was broken by Ma Iman. Ma Iman sat on the cold stone throne and felt the faith contained in the throne. This throne had stood in the great hall for 200 years. The moment he sat on the throne, he seemed to feel the power of light. When he was young, his teacher asked his classmates what their dreams were when they grew up. Almost everyone answered that they wanted to be strong warriors. Only he, Ma Iman, said that he wanted to be king. At that time, he remembered the laughter of his classmates. It was so ear-piercing. The teacher laughed and said that if you want to be king, you have to be the king's son. This was not fair. Why could the king's son become king and the leader of the people without doing anything, and the others were destined to be enslaved? He only said his childhood dream once, but he remembered it in his heart for the rest of his life. He was still the same child. He had not changed for decades. Nanzhao Kingdom was ranked as the most undignified country in the world. Why? Because they were weak. If I were the king, I would never allow my people to be so lowly. I want my people to walk in the world with their heads held high. He felt deeply humiliated every time he saw the king bow and scrape before anyone when he was on a foreign mission. Especially when he saw his compatriots who wagged their tails and begged in front of foreign guests but shouted at their own compatriots. That kind of humiliation made him angry. With his step-by-step efforts, Ma Iman gradually rose to a high position. He became stronger and stronger, and his prestige became more and more important. Finally, at the age of 40, he became a general who was second only to one person. But this was far from enough. A general could not change the minds of the people or the current situation of the country. Only when he became king could he give orders to everyone. Now, he had finally become king, but there was no one in front of him who would listen to his orders. Why is the world doing this to me? Why? What did I do wrong? Boom. There was a loud bang. The sound of an explosion was close by. Soon, a group of soldiers rushed into the auditorium and pointed their guns at Ma Iman, who was sitting on the throne on the high platform. Are you here to see the new king? I am your king, Ma Iman. Why aren't you kneeling and saluting me? Ma Iman, are you crazy? Get down from the throne. You are under arrest. Bang! The head of the soldier who spoke instantly exploded like a smashed watermelon. Ma Iman was not only the general of Nanzhao Kingdom, but he was also the strongest person in Nanzhao Kingdom. He was Takashi Hoshi, who was at the peak of the Star Sea realm. Even if he was crazy, he was not someone an ordinary person could scold. Fire. No need. A figure sounded. Under the escort of Wang Lan, Mocha successfully landed in the palace and rushed over without stopping. First Prince? Your Highness, you are finally back. The soldiers were unwilling to use their flesh and blood to resist the armored troops and chose to defect. Anyway, the United Nations did not recognize Ma Iman's government, so they might as well not recognize Ma Iman's leadership. Then they would turn from enemies to allies. Choosing sides was indeed the fastest way to change the situation. Now that Mocha was back, the soldiers felt that their defection was justified and right. Mocha saw the body of his third brother lying at Ma Iman's feet, and his eyes immediately turned red. Ma Iman, you killed my father, my second brother, and now you killed my third brother? You bastard! That's not all. The entire royal family, except for you, has been killed by me. Mocha was provoked by this sentence and roared towards the sky. I want to fight you, I want to kill you. While Mocha roared, the star power around his body flashed, and the thunderous star power wrapped around Mocha, as if the god of thunder had descended. Wang Lan, who came in with Mocha, smiled coldly and his figure instantly exploded. colorful butterflies fluttered, showing off the scene in front of her. Ma Iman's heart suddenly trembled, and her sharp eyes scanned the flashing butterflies around. Suddenly, Wang Lan's figure flashed out from one of the underworld butterflies. Then, he ruthlessly slashed down with his saber. Ma Iman's strength was indeed not bad. The moment Wang Lan appeared, she hurriedly dodged. The moment the Zanpakuto fell, she avoided the fatal blow, but Wang Lan's move was not over yet. Another slash chased after Ma Iman. Chi! The Zanpakuto pierced Ma Iman's back, and a burst of water gushed out from the wound. Since Ma Iman was a peak star sea realm expert, her elemental transformation had already reached perfection. Ma Iman's figure instantly retreated, breaking free of the Zanpakuto and retreating 3 meters. Just as she was about to launch a Takashi Hoshi attack, her body suddenly stiffened, and she clutched her chest and went limp. Large beads of cold sweat dripped down from his forehead as he raised his head to look at Wang Lan in horror. "Your blade, how could it really hurt me? I've clearly... Elemental transformation. My blade not only attacks the body, but also the soul." As he spoke, his figure flashed, and a shadow appeared in front of Ma Iman. His palm covered Ma Iman's head, and thunder flashed, sealing Ma Iman's star palace. He was afraid that Ma Iman would self-destruct, but in fact, Wang Lan worried too much. Ma Iman would not self-destruct, and he did not have the courage to do so. Mocha, who was about to fight 300 rounds with Ma Iman, was stunned. So fast, in just 1 or 2 seconds, Ma Iman, known as the #1 expert of Nanzhao, was subdued. Mocha was a genius of Nanzhao, and he was also a late-stage Star Sea Realm expert. No one doubted that Mocha would eventually surpass Ma Iman, but not now. If not for Wang Lan behind him, he would not have dared to fight Ma Iman alone. But now Ma Iman, who was stronger than a human in his heart, was actually defeated by Wang Lan in an instant. What was the meaning of this? Didn't they say that peak Star Sea Realm experts were at the peak of the world? Didn't they say that even the 5 emperors were Star Sea Realm experts? Why did he feel that the gap between the strongest Ma Iman and Wang Lan was like the gap between Star Blazing and Galaxy Realm experts? When Mocha fell into silence, killing intent burst out from Wang Lan's eyes. "I'll tell you, don't kill me. I'll tell you everything. This was all a scheme of the birds of paradise. They made me do it. I'll tell you the whereabouts of the space-time gem. I'll tell you everything. No need, I'll look for it myself." As Wang Lan's voice fell, the astral power around him surged, and his mental power instantly invaded Ma Iman's mind. Ma Iman's memories were like slides in front of Wang Lan's eyes. Chapter 5:15. After releasing Ma Iman, Wang Lan's brows didn't relax. Instead, they furrowed even more. Originally, he thought that Ma Iman and the birds of paradise would know the location of the spacetime gem. Even if she didn't, she should at least have information on the members of the birds of paradise. However, Ma Iman's memories only contained the details of his cooperation with the birds of paradise. She didn't know where the spacetime gem was. The excavation of the spacetime gem was done by the birds of paradise and taken away. Furthermore, the birds of paradise's plan wasn't to activate the spacetime gem in Nanzhao. The reason was that the world government wouldn't be able to take action in Nanzhao. So the question was, where would the birds of paradise activate the spacetime gem? Wang Lan could only think of 2 countries, the Jade State and the White Eagle State. Moreover, it would be in the key cities of these 2 countries. The price of activating the spacetime gate in a small country was too high. It could be said to be extremely painful. Back then, in the host country, a city with a population of 20 million, the demonic world gate was opened and most of the soldiers on the southern front were transferred to the host country. In the end, the host country went all out and detonated 12 nuclear bombs. The 300,000 demons, countless mutated beasts, hundreds of demons' ships, and countless biodemons were all annihilated. This explosion bought the Jade State a month's time and prevented the demons from conquering the Jade State and retreating. Wang Lan felt that the demons would have to suffer this lesson for the rest of their lives. You still had hope that Ma Iman had the spacetime gem. With your intelligence, you can only pull off such a crude coup. Wang Lan looked at Ma Iman, who had turned into an idiot, and laughed coldly. He carried Ma Iman and turned to leave. Your Majesty Wang Lan, can you leave Ma Iman for me to execute? He's going to the International Court of Justice. How can I give him to you now? What about him now? Mocha looked at Ma Iman, who looked like a dead dog. His mind isn't clear anymore, right? Can he still go to trial? As long as he's alive. Completed the Cloud Sea Space's Beast Wave mission. Completed the Nanzhao Ku mission. Awarded 1 million experience and 100,000 skill points. The system notification rang in Wang Lan's mind. Wang Lan's lips curled up slightly as she disappeared from the palace in a flash. What happened next had little to do with Wang Lan. He took Ma Iman back and reported directly to his superiors. However, the hidden danger hanging over everyone's heads still existed. Jade State Jingdu. Wang Lan stood in front of Mr. Jean and reported the process and results of this mission. Overall, the process was smooth and the results were satisfactory. The only thing he wasn't satisfied with was that the spacetime gem's whereabouts were unknown. According to the information obtained from Ma Iman's memories, the birds of paradise are indeed going to open the gate to the demon realm. However, the location of the gate to the demon realm needs to be chosen carefully. I boldly speculate that they will only choose the key cities of Jade State and White Eagle State. In comparison, it's more likely to be in Jade State. Why? The strength of the Jade State is obvious to all, and the Jade State is also the leader of the 5 countries in the United Nations. If the gate to the space and time is in Jade State, the United Nations can't directly order a nuclear attack. Similarly, the Jade State pays more attention to human rights than other countries. We pay more attention to the life and death of the people. Unless it's absolutely necessary, we won't give up on anyone's life. The demons also know this. Also, we've made the birds of paradise suffer in recent years. Out of revenge, they will probably choose the Jade State. Your analysis is very reasonable. It just so happens that Di Lao is also in Jingdu. I'll take you to see him and discuss it with him. Di Lao is in Jingdu. On the other side, in a heavily guarded military research institute in Jingdu, several researchers in white gowns stared nervously at the data on the screen. Wavelength transfer successful. Wavelength screening is in progress. Wavelength trigger module is activated. Wavelength has been successfully identified. Alarm is raised. Success? It's a success. It's really a success. It's hidden 3 kilometers away, 150 meters underground. It's wrapped in a special isolation material and has a special protection electromagnetic network. It can still be successfully detected. It's incredible. Yes, and the data is very clear and stable. It's a pity for Dr. 11. He really is a genius. We've spent hundreds of billions. After burning so much money, we've finally made substantial progress. It's too difficult. We don't have to be scolded by the people anymore. It's not just hundreds of billions. The 2 quantum colliders cost 50 billion. Yes, I'll report to Di Lao right now. He Yuanzhong said excitedly. He took off his gown and walked out. Wang Lan rode in Director Jin's car and arrived at the entrance of a courtyard house. Wang Lan was 1 step ahead of Wang Lan. A car arrived a few minutes before him. After the person in front got out of the car, he rushed into the courtyard house. He seemed to be in a hurry. What's wrong with that person? Is he trying to do something to Di Lao? Director Jin's eyes suddenly became serious. He quickly stopped the car. He's Director He. He was invited to Shanghai to do research. Why did he come to Jingdu? You're talking about He Yuan? I know that the group of people doing research in Shanghai all came to Jingdu last month. Director Jean said as he got out of the car. After entering the courtyard house, he saw He Yuanzhong reporting something to Di Lao. You've really researched it? We've researched it. The space-time gem really does have a special wavelength. This wavelength can spread through space and is not obstructed by anything. Regardless of whether it's a strong magnetic field or an extreme environment, no matter what kind of sealing method is used, or even an absolute vacuum environment, the wavelength is still very stable. This kind of transmission doesn't need any medium. What's the range of your detector? 3 kilometers. Our equipment isn't sensitive enough. If we had more time to research and make a more compact instrument, the range would definitely increase by several times. At this moment, Wang Lan and Di Lao walked over. Wang Lan, you're here. Just in time. Di Lao greeted him with a smile. Little Gold is also here. Is there a problem? It's still about Nanzhao. Nanzhao's space-time gem ended up in the hands of Birds of Paradise. Wang Lan just returned from Nanzhao. He speculated that Birds of Paradise planned to activate the space-time gem in our country and White Eagle's densely populated main cities. Their first choice would be Jade State. Oh. Di Lao nodded. This is indeed Birds of Paradise's style. He thinks that by threatening the lives of commoners, he can make us hesitate to act. He's delusional. Because the space-time gem can't be stored in spatial equipment, we need to strictly control it at the entrance. First, we can't let the space-time gem flow in. Second, we need to immediately control the space-time gem once it's discovered. Just as Chief Jean finished speaking, Wang Lan continued, also, I need to be on standby at all times. Currently, I'm the only one who can effectively stop the space-time gate from opening. If I can arrive at the scene when the space-time gem activates, even if Birds of Paradise activates the space-time gate, I'll be able to stop it. The spatial energy in the Phoenix form had already been exhausted. The space-time gem that others would tremble at the mention of it was just a power bank in Wang Lan's eyes. Of course, the prerequisite was that he could arrive in time. This is the plan you came up with? Di Lao asked after listening. That's all for now. If there's anything lacking, Di Lao can add to it. Ha ha ha. What can an old man like me add to it? However, Dean he has something good to add. Dean he just reported to me that he's already researched the space-time gem's space-time energy wave. 2 months ago, the space-time gem conducted a collision test in the Imperial capital and successfully extracted the space-time energy wave. Although a quantum collider was scrapped, the harvest was still worth it. Dean he has already developed a space-time gem detector that has a detection range of 3 kilometers. Really? That's great. With the detector, we can install it in all the major cities in the country. It'll be like a dense road surveillance system. As long as the space-time gem appears, we can immediately find it. I think so too, but we need time now. The space-time gem detector is quite tedious to make. If we have half a year, we'll be able to complete it in the major cities. However, it'll take at least 2 years to complete the whole country. Birds of Paradise definitely won't give us that much time. Our first choice is to install it in the Imperial capital and Shanghai, followed by the first-tier cities and second-tier cities. I'll immediately report the construction of the detector to the higher-ups and do our best to make it as soon as possible. Oh right, General Wang, I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you with something. After speaking, He Yuanzhong suddenly said to Wang Lan. What's the matter? We've been researching the space-time gem for more than a year. Recently, we've detected an energy reaction from the space-time gem. It's like, after more than a year, the space-time gem seems to have recovered some energy. Can you help us deal with it? That's a good thing. Wang Lan's eyes immediately lit up. It was like a pillow being sent when he was sleepy. Just as he was having a headache about using up all his space-time energy and not being able to teleport, the space-time gem really had an energy reaction. After leaving Di Lao's place, He directly followed He Yuanzhong to the research facility. The moment he touched the space-time gem, it indicated that there was pure energy that could be absorbed. The space-time energy accumulated in a year was only about 1/50th of what it was when it was fully loaded. However, this amount of energy was enough for Wang Lan to teleport several times. He didn't know how to cherish it before and was quite happy to use it for 2 years. Now, he knew how precious the space-time energy was. After finding that space-time gem, Wang Lan promised to use it sparingly and avoid wasting it. Wang Lan secretly swore in his heart. After leaving the research facility, there was basically nothing else to do. Wang Lan just needed to be on standby at all times and provide support when the space-time gem appeared. These days, Wang Lan stayed at home in the capital. Wang Lan had 3 buildings in Sioux City, a commercial plaza in Emodu, and a commercial plaza in the capital. The commercial plaza in the capital wasn't as big as the one in Emodu, but it was in the capital after all, so the profits weren't any less than Emodu's. Wang Lan had a 500-square-meter house for each property. While waiting for news, Wang Lan also lived the life of an otaku. Unknowingly, 10 days passed. Just as Wang Lan was leisurely lying on the balcony and basking in the sun, the elevator door suddenly opened without warning. Chapter 516. There was only one person who could enter Wang Lan's house without his permission and Xiao Ai's reminder, and that was Jiang Xinyu. Seeing Jiang Xinyu walk out of the elevator with a faint smile on her face. "Why are you so surprised? I can't come?" Jiang Xinyu said slyly. Why didn't you call me in advance? I could have gone to pick you up. Why are you here? Is everything fine in the Sea of Clouds? I wanted to call you, but I wanted to give you a surprise, so I didn't. The Sea of Clouds has ended, but I came to Beijing because I have a mission, so I came to see you. The Sea of Clouds has stabilized. El Niño is almost over. They didn't let me go back to the Sea of Clouds. I've been in Shanghai. What are you doing in Beijing? You're so happy that you don't want to go back to Shanghai, but you didn't even call. I thought you went to the Sea of Clouds to explore the Sea of Clouds. Why would I call when I know I can't get through? You said you have a mission? What mission? There are demons causing trouble in the Northwest Reclamation Space. Wang Lan's face suddenly became serious. Whether it was the birds of paradise or the demons, they were never simple troublemakers. There must be a deeper purpose. What's the situation? Can you tell me? That's what I meant. You know them better than anyone else. About 3 months ago, the reclaimers in the Northern Reclamation Space suffered heavy losses and were wiped out at the slightest provocation. In a short 3 months, they lost nearly 3,000 people. It's not clear whether the mastermind is the birds of paradise or the demons, so let's call it an attack by the demons. Their attack method is to hide in a group of exotic beasts and control them to attack the reclaimers. There are both big and small beasts. Then, they take advantage of the fierce battle between the reclaimers and the exotic beasts to launch a sneak attack. When fighting exotic beasts, the reclaimers can win with a small number, but if there's a sneak attack, the Takashi Hoshi will have no advantage in front of the exotic beast. That's why there are so many casualties. What about tactical retreat? Wang Lan asked with a frown. It's useless. The exotic beasts will form a horde and charge at the defensive line, while the mastermind will still hide among the beasts, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. The biggest loss was the northwest and southeast defensive lines. On that day, the 3 Wasteland Reclaimer Legions were attacked by a horde of 5,000 exotic beasts. The exotic beasts actually split into 3 groups, with 2 attacking as support and 1 attacking as the main force to break through the defensive line. After that, there were sneak attacks from the assassins, and in the end, the 3 Wasteland Reclaimer Legions were completely wiped out. Fortunately, they had already requested reinforcements from the district headquarters before the beast attack. After the reinforcements arrived, the beast army retreated. In just 3 months, the front line of the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation has shrunk by 120 kilometers. Wang Lan frowned. This situation is disgusting. Why did you tell me instead of giving me the mission directly? What's with the transfer order? Don't you have a more important mission? But I can teleport. It's not like I'll be completely tied down by some mission. Even if I go to the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Space, it'll only take me 2 seconds to rush back to Shanghai and Kyoto. The mission doesn't restrict me that much. On the contrary, the operation of the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Space is worrying. This matter is far from as simple as it seems. It seems like there's a force hiding among the exotic beasts to hunt us wasteland reclaimers, but in fact, they're controlling the exotic beasts in the wasteland reclamation space. Any of the 5 wasteland reclamation spaces has tens of millions of exotic beasts. If these exotic beasts were to be integrated into an army, not to mention the Jade State, even if the 5 countries worked together, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. This matter is much more serious than we thought. Wang Lan's words made Jiang Sinyu's heart sink a little. Although Wang Lan's words were a little alarmist. If the demons really had the ability to command all the exotic beasts, why didn't they use it earlier? If they had the ability, the exotic beasts in the 5 wasteland reclaimer spaces would have already become an army of exotic beasts, and the Jade State would have been destroyed long ago. But even if it wasn't that exaggerated, what if it was? Humans were developing, but the demons weren't standing still either. Previously, the demon's biochemical demon spawn was only level 1. A star blazing could easily defeat it. But now, the biochemical demon spawn was already at the Star Sea realm. What's the plan from the higher-ups? Mobilize the elite students from all the universities in the country. The number should be around 2,000. Mix them in the Wasteland Reclamation team. If someone were to launch a sneak attack, these elite students would be the mantis hunting them. Wang Lan frowned and finally stood up. Let's go and find Di Lao together. I'm worried. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu went out and came to Di Lao's courtyard house. Seeing Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu coming, Di Lao suddenly understood Wang Lan's intention. Wang Lan, what do you think about the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Space? I've heard about it from Xinyu. To be honest, I'm not sure. What are you worried about? The difference between the bottom line and the upper line is too big. The best outcome is that this is all they can do. As long as we take strict precautions, they won't be able to create any big wave. But the worst outcome is that they can integrate the mutated beasts into a beast army. That would be dangerous. You actually have such thoughts? Di Lao looked at Wang Lan in surprise. Demons can indeed control mutated beasts. Every time demons invade, they will bring countless mutated beasts with them. But rather than control, it's more like taming. Those mutated beasts controlled by demons were tamed after many years of training. It's almost impossible to tame wild mutated beasts. But the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Space isn't like this. I feel that I need to investigate and clarify things before I can be completely at ease. But you have other missions. I can teleport. There won't be much difference in time from here to the Wasteland Reclamation Space, as long as I can receive the news immediately. That's easy. I'll transfer Hummingbird over to be your messenger. Thank you, Dean. Oh right, Di Lao, I need 2 people to go to the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Space. Who? Jin City Cebu Gakuans, Su Xiangwen and Xiesisi. Wang Lan originally wanted to meet Gong Feiyu. But over the past year, Gong Feiyu seemed to be intentionally or unintentionally rejecting his circle. They were very harmonious when they came out to play in private, but when it came to future development, Gong Feiyu was very dissociated. Therefore, Wang Lan didn't say anything more. Perhaps he wasn't happy to bring him along. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu arrived at the rendezvous point together. Just as they got out of the car to prepare, a pleasantly surprised voice rang out from behind them. Xinyu Lan Zi. Wang Lan turned around, a smile immediately appearing on his face. Su Xiangwen and Xie were actually on the list of reinforcements to the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Space. The four hadn't seen each other for a long time. Naturally, they were very excited to see each other. Thinking about it, Su Xiangwen and Xie strength was also top-notch in Jin City Cebu Gakuen. This time, the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Space had selected elite students from various key academies, so it was reasonable for the two of them to be selected. They hadn't seen each other for more than half a year, and the two of them had made significant progress. Their cultivation was at the late stage of the galaxy realm, so they had a place even in Shanghai Cebu Gakuen. This was also due to the enhancement of the immortal cloud Xianqing record. The growth of their star power was much faster than that of their peers. Seeing the four of them cheering excitedly, a group of Jin City Cebu Gakuen students, who were originally surrounding Xie and Su Xiangwen, were a little jealous. People would come into contact with different circles depending on their position. In Jin City Cebu Gakuen's circle, Xie and Su Xiangwen were almost godlike existences. Xie, in particular, was beautiful and moving, as cold as ice. This kind of peerless beauty, who had both strength and beauty, would make countless people rush forward. They didn't have extravagant hopes of winning Xie's favor, but even getting an ordinary friend would be an incomparably glorious thing. But now, what were they seeing? In their eyes, the godlike existences had a similar side to them. In their eyes, Su Xiangwen's posture of rushing over was no different from that of a bootlicker. Xie, in particular, was even more exaggerated. Wasn't she the goddess of death? Where was her aura of death? Your two bright smiles made them feel uncomfortable. Who are they? Why are Xiangwen and Cici so enthusiastic? They're not wearing school uniforms, so I can't tell which school they're from. Look at Cici, although she's hugging that girl's arm, her eyes keep glancing at that guy's face. What's their relationship? They look like they've known each other for a long time and they're very close? What are you all talking about? A soft cough was heard and a female voice came over. The people who were discussing stopped talking. As the president of Jin City Cebu Gakuen's student union, Su was originally discussing the internship with the teacher in charge, but when she returned, she saw a group of students discussing intensely. She came over curiously, but since the students were frightened, they stopped talking. Su was suddenly a little unhappy. Am I that scary? I'm so beautiful and cute. Su was very cute. Although she didn't have a figure like Xie, she was very lowly. She was cute, but when she hit people, she was terrifying. She followed the students' gazes, and her eyes instantly widened. It's them? President Su, do you know them? Who are they? Which school are they from? If I remember correctly, they went to Shanghai Cebu Gakuen later, Su said faintly. Hiss, no wonder. So they're from the Big Four. Didn't Shanghai Cebu Gakuen students arrive a long time ago? Why are they only here now? Su, who are they? They seem to be very close to Xiangwen Cici. A girl hugged Su's neck and asked curiously. Oh, they're them. You should have heard of them. That handsome guy with fair skin. Don't look like he's harmless and easy to bully. He's Jade State's youngest titled powerhouse, the Greedy Wolf, who just got promoted this year. Hiss, it's fake, right? He's Wang Lan? F*CK, he's a god. No, he's a supreme master. There's also that girl who's not very tall but is very pretty. Her name is Jiang Xinyu, and she's the record holder for being the youngest person to break through to the Star Sea realm. Back then, I defeated her at the provincial martial tournament, but 2 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and she's already at the Star Sea realm. Su, how can you say that she's not very tall? Her best friend looked at Su's height and couldn't help but ridicule her. F*CK, they're two big shots. Amidst the exclamations behind her, Su rolled her eyes at her best friend and walked straight towards Wang Lan and the others. Chapter 5:17. Long time no see, Wang Lan. Just as he was chatting with Su Xianwen and the others, he heard a girl's voice. Wang Lan turned around. Su, it's been a while. Congratulations. Although I knew that you would be amazing in the future, I didn't expect you to be this amazing. I wanted to call you Greedy Wolf, but I think you'd prefer me to call you Wang Lan. Of course, Greedy Wolf is a nickname for strangers. We're considered old friends. As he spoke, Wang Lan's eyes inadvertently glanced at Su again. Is there something wrong with me? I feel like you're looking at me suspiciously. Su lowered her head and looked at herself. She thought that there was something wrong with her body. No, I'm just wondering if Su has ever been injured, huh? Su suddenly remembered that Wang Lan was not only powerful, but his Takashi Hoshi medical skills were also unparalleled. As a Takashi Hoshi who was at the advanced stage of the galaxy state, how could he not be injured after going through a battle? Su suddenly thought that Wang Lan had discovered some hidden injuries that she did not notice. As expected of the best medical Takashi Hoshi in the Jade State, he actually noticed something that she did not. Isn't it normal for a warrior like me to get injured? Sigh. That's true. Don't be sad, I shouldn't have said so much. It's just that when I saw you, I felt that you've become shorter. Actually, you shouldn't have given up like this. Why didn't you contact me back then? Your mother should have my contact information. At first, Su thought that Wang Lan's words were reasonable, but gradually, she felt that there was something wrong with them. When Wang Lan finished speaking, Su felt that her body was cracking. What did he mean by becoming shorter? What did he mean by giving up? Did he think that I was amputated? Su's face instantly darkened. She silently turned around and ended their friendship on the spot. Su, you don't look too good. What's wrong? It's fine, I still have something to do. Let's talk next time. Su left without looking back. Wang Lan was still confused. What's wrong with her? Something's not right. Wang Lan, what did you say to Class Rep Su? CSCC came over curiously. It's nothing much. I just asked her if she had been injured before and intercepted a part of it. I felt that she was a bit shorter than when she was at the provincial martial competition, so I asked her out of concern. Who knew why she suddenly became like this? Ha ha! Su Xiangwen's face flushed red as he suddenly burst into laughter that he couldn't hold back. Wang Lan, in Jin City's Cebu Gakuen, no one can joke around with Su's height. Today, she only had a dark expression on her face, so you should be fine. Class monitor Su hadn't been injured before, but she hadn't grown taller since her third year of high school. Wang Lan, it's not that Su has become shorter, it's you who has become taller. That's awkward. I remember that Su's height was about the same as Sinu's. Forget it, I have to apologize. Won't you be adding fuel to the fire if you apologize now? Do you really think that she won't dare to hurt you? Forget it, I'll apologize to her on your behalf. I have a good relationship with her. CSCC quickly covered her mouth and said. Although it was said that girls developed earlier than boys and stopped growing earlier, was it not too much of an exaggeration to say that she had stopped growing after the age of 17? Wang Lan himself had grown 15 centimeters. Jiang Xinyu had grown 10 centimeters. Soon, the group of people took a military transport vehicle and set off from Capital City to the Northwest Space Reclamation. During the 3-hour journey, Wang Lan wanted to apologize in person several times, but he never had the chance. When they arrived at the Northwest Space Reclamation, the students from each school were separated again. The students were immediately assigned, leaving Wang Lan, Jiang Xinyu, Su Xiangwen, and CSCC in a group of 4. The 4 of them were led to the headquarters of the Northwest Space Reclamation. Your Excellency Greed, I've heard a lot about you. The Commander-in-Chief of the Northwest Space Reclamation, Yi Xiaoying, greeted him warmly. Hello, Commander-in-Chief. All right, let's cut the formalities. I didn't expect to see you here, But after knowing that you're on the list of support this time, I'm relieved. You flatter me, Commander Bai. Do you understand the situation? Tell me what you think. Facing the current Wang Lan, no one would treat Wang Lan as a greenhorn. Although Wang Lan was indeed too young, Wang Lan's resume was frighteningly bright. Therefore, Bai Xiaoying never looked down on Wang Lan. Instead, she treated Wang Lan as an important advisor. I can't say what I think yet. Haven't you guys caught an attacker? You still can't confirm the attacker's identity? To be honest, we only realized the truth about a month ago. Although there were reports that the reclamation teams were wiped out, we confirmed that they were killed by exotic beasts after investigating, so we always thought that the exotic beasts were too strong. However, as more and more teams died, we started investigating again. A month ago, we confirmed that there were people hiding among the exotic beasts, but this group of people was very strange. They were clearly humans, but the exotic beasts acted like they didn't exist. They followed the exotic beasts and hid in the dark without being discovered. When the battle reached a stalemate, they suddenly launched a sneak attack. In a fierce battle, the slightest interference could turn the tide of the battle, let alone a sneak attack. They only need to launch a sneak attack, and it's enough to wipe out an entire reclamation team. We also tried to capture them, but they're very cunning. Moreover, there are brain-eating worms hidden in their head. Once they're caught, the brain-eating worms will immediately eat the target's head. Until now, there hasn't been a single survivor. The brain-eating worms didn't demonize. No. So if they're not demon spies, then they're Takashi Hoshi, controlled by demon spies, or they're from the birds of paradise. Wang Lan speculated. Commander Bai, can these Takashi Hoshi control the exotic beasts? There are no signs of that at the moment. It seems that they're only following the exotic beasts and waiting for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. If they can control the exotic beasts, the combat strength of the exotic beasts will at least double. However, if we say that they don't know how to control the exotic beasts, the frequency and direction of the exotic beasts' attacks are very methodical. It feels like they're being instructed to attack. If we have to say that the exotic beasts are being controlled, I can only say that they're under preliminary control. They're just not being discovered and attacked by the exotic beasts, and they're following the exotic beasts. Wang Lan's eyes flashed as he made a rough judgment. This is good news. As long as they can't control the exotic beasts, the pressure on us won't be that great. You call that not great? In the past 3 months, the exotic beasts have already counterattacked for nearly 100 kilometers. Wang Lan, 100 kilometers. How can we lose so much territory in the 5 major reclaimed spaces without any major disasters? The Department of Defense didn't call me back and remove me from my post. You must help me. Otherwise, even if the Department of Defense doesn't transfer me back, I won't have the face to stay in the Northwest reclaimed space. The demon's goal is a little hard to fathom. Not only do we have to face the current difficulties, but we also have to figure out what the demons are doing. Do they really intend to use this tactic to take over the Northwest reclaimed space? That's impossible. Tactics are dead, but people are alive. This kind of tactic can be easily found. I have 2 guesses about the demon's goal. What are the 2 guesses? The first is to lure the tiger away from the mountain. The demons want to use the Northwest to transfer me, and then secretly prepare to activate the space-time gem. You should have heard about the space-time gem, right? Of course I've heard about it before. Right, you're the only person who can deal with the space-time gem. Why are you here? Bai Xiaoqi asked hurriedly. I already have a plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. I have a messenger wasp with me. Later, a hummingbird will come to reclaim the space entrance. Once it finds the space-time gem, the hummingbird will send a message to me immediately. The space-time Takashi Hoshi technique? Bai Xiaoqi's eyes lit up. Even as a titled expert, he had only heard of the space-time attribute. The space-time attribute was too rare and too powerful. Yes. The second guess is similar to the one in the Cloud Sea. The demons need something in the northwest reclaimed space, so they provoked the exotic beasts to counterattack. The space-time gem? That's possible. But no matter what the possibility is, we have to figure out how this group of people came here and how they can be active in our reclaimed space. I plan to personally lead a team to catch those ambushers. You, a titled expert, are going to catch them? What can you catch? They won't dare to show themselves when they see you. That reminds me. Wang Lan suddenly thought of something. Inform all the experts who came to fish that if the target doesn't appear, hide their strength and wait for them to take the bait. That's right. I almost forgot. Wang Lan's four-man team was also sent out. They were in a small reclamation team with 20 people. Although this reclamation team was small, they weren't weak. Their average strength was nebula, and their leader was even a galaxy expert. One had to know that in the wasteland exploration space, the average wasteland exploration team captain was only at the nebula realm. If a team had 2 or 3 nebula realm members and all of them were at the star brilliance realm, that was a pretty good arrangement. Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi level shot up like a rocket. In fact, 80% of Takashi Hoshi players only experienced one level up. The rest were in their lifetime. As one grew older, the shackles that bound one's realm would become stronger and stronger. If the speed of absorbing astral power couldn't keep up with the speed of breaking through the shackles, breaking through would become an extravagant hope. Even if one was lucky enough to break through the shackles of the next realm would be even stronger. Therefore, the best time to break through the shackles was before the age of 25. That was the time when one's body was developing and reaching its peak. After that, it would gradually go downhill. Breaking through had to be done early. The reclamation team didn't know much about the identities of Wang Lan's team, but they more or less knew that the experts they sent were specifically to catch those elusive assassins. These ambushers were called assassins among the reclaimers. After the Academy's reinforcements arrived, the order to counterattack was issued from the command center. In the past few months, the Northwest reclaimers had been holed up and had accumulated a lot of anger. After receiving the order and with the experts hidden in the team, what were they waiting for? They just had to fight. Chapter 518. The Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Region, which had been sluggish for 3 months, suddenly started a full-scale counterattack. Moreover, it wasn't just one place that was probing, but all around. What was going on? Hidden in the depths of the chaotic fog, in a secret base, a mysterious black-robed figure was faintly discernible. After listening to his subordinate's report, 2 flames suddenly appeared in the figure's black robe. It looked like his eyes, but it could also be his eyes. You said that the Northwest Wasteland Reclaimers suddenly counterattacked? Did they ask for outside help? I can't tell for now, but it should be so. This subordinate speculates that they should have mixed in experts among the ordinary wasteland reclamation teams, waiting to bait us. And, even if they mixed in experts among the ordinary teams, there are only so many experts. It's impossible for every team to have an expert. Disperse the people under you. Disperse? Isn't that walking right into a trap? You all know that they've scattered the bait, so you have to think of a way to eat the bait without being caught by the hook. If you don't even have the ability to do that, then it's a waste of the organization's nurturing. You deserve to die. Yes, this subordinate understands. Fishing was a game with the fish. The fish wanted to eat the bait, but not every time the fish ate the bait would take the bait. If the fish was smart enough, it could definitely eat the bait without harming itself. But if it couldn't eat the bait without harming itself, then the fish wouldn't choose to take the bait. Everyone in the Birds of Paradise understood this principle. Thus, although the Wasteland Reclamation region was in full swing, those elusive wasteland reclaimers didn't appear. For example, there were some students who didn't pass the acting test and the powerful Takashi Hoshi. Their teammates were in a life-and-death battle with exotic beasts, and they were just waiting on the side with their arms crossed? This was clearly telling others that they were experts and waiting for the wasteland reclaimers to come knocking on their door. There were also some who didn't act like they were experts, but their strength was clearly much higher than others. Did they really think that the wasteland reclaimers were blind? There were a few who passed the acting test, but they looked like they were struggling. It also successfully attracted the shadow assassins to make a move. However, one needed to be patient when fishing. The moment the shadow assassin appeared, he would attack impatiently. Then, his attack would be interrupted by the exotic beast, allowing the fish to escape. Although the counterattack went very smoothly, the number of fish that were actually caught was not many. Even if some of them had good acting skills and chose the right timing, once the assassins had no hope of escaping, even if they didn't want to, the brain-eating worms in their brains would be triggered instantly. Even Wang Lan was helpless against such a method. Wang Lan's four-man team was also one of the many actors, and they happened to be the kind of actors who had superb acting skills. Jiang Xinyu was the main attacking mage, Wang Lan was the healer, Takashi Hoshi was the healer, Su Xiangwen was the melee fighter, and Xie Sisi was the support. He followed the wasteland reclaimers to encircle and annihilate a tribe of about 100 exotic beasts. Perhaps due to their lack of experience, the four-man team was 30 meters away from the main group. This distance was nothing to experts, but to rookies who had just stepped into the wasteland reclaimers' space, it was fatal. 10 exotic beasts had already blocked off Wang Lan's four-man team. There were 2 exotic beasts close to the main group's retreat path. The main group in the distance kept urging Wang Lan's team to stay close, but the 4 of them were struggling to kill the exotic beasts. Although they tried to leave the battlefield and approach the main group, they failed several times. The 2 shadow assassins hiding in the dark saw this scene and their eyes flashed with a green light. In their eyes, Wang Lan's team of 4 rookies was a walking experience point, a great kill. Do we do it? This wasteland reclaimer's strength is not bad. Their cooperation is also very exquisite. The leader is an expert above the galaxy grade. Based on the experience of our brothers, this wasteland reclaimers should not have any bait. That's right. I've seen this wasteland reclaimers before. I've tried to kill them several times, but I never had the chance. These 4 might really be rookies. We can do this. Alright then. Let's get closer and wait for an opportunity to make a move. At that moment, Jiang Xinyu sent an exotic beast flying with an icicle. Su Xiangwen instantly followed up with another attack. At the same time, another exotic beast jumped up from behind and pounced at the defenseless Jiang Xinyu. As Takashi Hoshi's healer, Wang Lan instantly noticed Jiang Xinyu's danger and immediately cried out, "Xinyu, be careful." They pounced at Jiang Xinyu. In an instant 2 figures appeared, shooting towards Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu like ghosts. The timing was perfect, and the speed was fast. If Wang Lan had not been waiting for them, they would have given them a thumbs up. In the eyes of the 2 shadow assassins, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were dead meat. Under such circumstances, the 2 rookies at the peak of star blazing couldn't possibly have the experience to deal with them. This team was finished. What a pity. 4 good years. What a pity for this medical Takashi Hoshi, who seemed to have great potential. Suddenly, the 2 of them felt their vision blur, and then their vision changed. Wang Lan's hands flashed with lightning and instantly clasped their foreheads. The lightning needle instantly pierced their heads and accurately killed the brain-eating worms in their head. That instantaneous reaction took only 0.2 seconds. Seeing the happy smile on Wang Lan's face, the 2 shadow assassins were confused. What's going on? Where am I? What happened just now? In the next second, he came to his senses and suddenly realized that he had screwed up. At the thought of that, the 2 shadow assassins were so scared that their faces turned pale. They had seen what happened to their companions when they were caught. Their heads exploded, and a round brain-eating worm crawled out of their heads. That scene was enough to make them regret ever coming to this world. However, in the next second they were dumbfounded again. The brain-eating worm didn't move? We're still alive? La la la, we're still alive? How delightful joy rose from the bottom of their hearts, and smiles appeared on their faces. Suddenly, Wang Lan's star power surged, and his surging mental strength instantly invaded the minds of the two shadow assassins to read their memories. After a long time, the two shadow assassins who had become idiots were casually thrown to the ground by Wang Lan. Eh? What's wrong with these two? Xie was meticulous, and she looked at the two people who were thrown to the ground by Wang Lan warily. Why are they still smiling after being caught by you? Are they plotting something? Generally speaking, those who were caught by Wang Lan would show fear, not to mention that after being imprinted with mental strength, their frightened expressions would freeze, and then they would become expressionless as they turned into idiots. However, the two people in front of her were still smiling so happily even after becoming idiots. There's no conspiracy. Maybe it's because there are too many ups and downs in life. Have you found any clues? There's a base in the depths of the chaotic fog. They do belong to the birds of paradise, but they're not the faction we met before. It's really funny that the birds of paradise are divided into the human faction and the demons faction. The human faction and the demons faction? Aren't they all traitors and spies? The birds of paradise have existed for a long time, perhaps 1,000 years. After 1,000 years of evolution, although the birds of paradise are still the public enemy of the world, their nature is not as simple as before. In the current birds of paradise, the human faction has the upper hand. 80% of the birds of paradise are humans, and 20% are demons. Moreover, the human faction and the demons faction seem to be at odds, as if they're fighting for dominance. But no matter what, the birds of paradise are the enemies of all of humanity. This time, it's the demons faction that's leading, but I don't know what their goal is. The reason why they can't be attacked by mutated beasts is because they have a special crystal implanted in their bodies. This is the latest invention of the demons, and it can block their perception in front of mutated beasts. Although mutated beasts have eyes, noses, and 5 senses, they still distinguish between friend and foe by using astral power. Even if the human they see isn't of the same kind, they will still use their perception. If they can't sense their astral power fluctuations and astral power level, they will be judged as harmless. Also, the leader of this operation is Takashi Hoshi, who is known as the inner demon. Human? He doesn't know, but from his perspective, the other party seems to be a human. I have a rough idea of the location of the base. Brothers, do you want to go and do it? Looking at Wang Lan's expression and tone, the 4 of them seemed to have returned to their high school days. The 3 of them smiled knowingly. Let's do it. With a titled battle pet warrior like Lan Zi taking the lead, what reason do we have to not do it? That's right. With our team's current strength, it's not appropriate to not do it. Let's destroy their base. Su Xiangwen had the heavenly eye for reconnaissance, Jiang Xinyu and Xie supported Wang Lan, and the 4 of them were definitely war machines when they worked together. Wang Lan took the 4 of them with underground walking. The chaotic fog in the northwest reclamation space was more dangerous. Mutated beasts were everywhere in the chaotic fog. Humans would be attacked as a group if they were discovered, but that was for most Takashi Hoshi, not for Wang Lan and the others. All the so-called danger was ultimately due to the lack of strength. If one was strong enough, the dangerous journey would be smooth sailing. They didn't know how big the Northwest reclamation space was. No one knew. But this group of people's base was 500 kilometers deep in the chaotic fog. That was beyond the limits of human Takashi Hoshi's reconnaissance. Generally speaking, human reconnaissance teams would only explore 100 kilometers into the chaotic fog at most. The deeper they go, the more likely they are to run into titled or even abyss-level mutated beasts. Even if the 4 of them didn't fight with mutated beasts, it would take 8 hours just to travel. Commander Bai, Wang Lan just sent me a message. In front of Bai Shaoqi, a hummingbird was emitting waves of electric waves. These waves formed a language in Bai Shaoqi's mind. Because the hummingbird wanted to contact Wang Lan, it had to guard the entrance of the reclamation space. This way, it could receive news from the outside world and inform Wang Lan immediately. Did Greedy Wolf find something? He successfully captured a survivor and completed the spiritual imprint. The mastermind is indeed the birds of paradise. He also found out the location of their base. It's deep in the chaotic fog. Wang Lan has already led his team to encircle them. Inform Tan Lang to be careful. Don't take any risk. Roger. Chapter 519. Found it. Su Xianguan suddenly stopped in his tracks. The heaven's eye on his forehead emitted a dazzling golden light. In his distorted vision, he could see the camp hidden in a canyon. The four-man team approached the camp, carefully avoiding the guards as they looked down at the camp from above. Men in black were coming in and out. What else could they be but shadow assassins? From the size of the camp, there should be at least 2,000 to 3,000 people. In the alternate dimension, building a house was quite simple. Earth element Takashi Hoshi just had to press on the ground. As long as the soil structure was suitable, they could directly build stone houses, mud houses, and even sand sculptures. Lan Zi, let's do it? Su Xianguan looked at the shadow assassin's camp in the distance. It was as if a young lady was flirting on the bed. They were so defenseless, and they had infiltrated so deep. This was a godsend opportunity. If they didn't take action, they would be struck by lightning. I still have a question that I don't understand. Wang Lan frowned. How did they get in? You all know the level of security in the unexplored dimension. Not to mention so many people, even a titled warrior shouldn't think of sneaking in. Moreover, to enter the unexplored dimension, they had to go past our 700-kilometer defense line, and then sneak through the chaotic fog to a depth of 500 kilometers. How did they get in? The other three's expressions changed. In fact, they couldn't figure it out either. Logically speaking, it was impossible for the birds of paradise to sneak into this place, let alone on such a scale. Forget it, this question won't be answered in a short time. Since the birds of paradise base is here, we should have no problem fighting. With that, Wang Lan stood up. Astral power surged around him as he activated his phoenix form. In fact, Wang Lan didn't need to activate his phoenix form in normal battles, but the 5-colored phoenix form was too useful. In the 5-colored phoenix form, using skills was as simple as playing a game. Any Takashi Hoshi skill or attribute release was instinctive. The best way to destroy a camp was to destroy it in one blow. A loud phoenix cry rang out. Instantly, a 5-colored phoenix appeared in the sky. Heaven and Earth Millstone. In an instant, the ground in the middle of the camp suddenly erupted with lava like a volcano. In the sky, flaming meteors smashed down like torrential rain. The assassins in the camp were dumbfounded. They didn't expect a sudden attack, and it was so sharp. The dark shadow assassins were not strong. For example, the 2 that Wang Lan had taken down before were nebula. In Wang Lan's eyes, this level of strength was nothing more than a gift. Using 2 S-class Takashi Hoshi skills to fuse together to deal with them was already giving them a lot of face. Most of the assassins who stayed in the camp were killed by the lava and meteors before they knew what was going on. However, there were still a few who managed to escape. Scattered silhouettes desperately rushed out of the encampment that was under attack, running towards the rear in a panic. Under normal circumstances, Wang Lan wouldn't even need a breath's time to kill them. With a flash of his figure, he could instantly eliminate these fish that escaped the net. However, the things that Wang Lan didn't understand before had to be figured out. If the demons could enter the major open spaces at will, it would be a very terrifying threat to the Jade State. This group of people who were fleeing for their lives were not aimless. They had an accurate direction, which meant that there was a place not far from the camp that could help them survive. Sure enough, 4 or 5 kilometers away, there was a spatial fluctuation at the mouth of a canyon, and a mirror-like door of time and space flashed. Seeing this scene, Wang Lan finally had an answer to the question that had been in his heart for a long time. It was a spatial passage. The demons had opened a spatial passage that connected to the open space in the northwest. Although the old question had been answered, new questions followed one after another. How did the spatial passage open? Whether it was an alternate space or an open space, there was only one spatial passage. The complexity and randomness of space made every spatial passage open to a different space. According to human records, the only spatial passage that opened in a directional direction was the passage from the demon realm to the human world. Therefore, when he saw that there was a second spatial passage in the open space in the northwest, Wang Lan's face suddenly became gloomy. "Let's go." As soon as Wang Lan finished speaking, his body turned into a ray of light and rushed into the passage. There were only 7 or 8 people who were lucky enough to escape the pursuit of Wang Lan's group of 4. After rushing into the space, they were all stunned. They thought that after rushing through the passage, they would arrive at their base on the island. They didn't expect that it would be a secret room, and this secret room seemed to be in an alternate space. However, their doubts didn't last long. In an instant, the 7 or 8 people knelt down in front of the person who seemed to be shrouded in black fog. "Leader, we were incompetent. The base was discovered. There were titled experts chasing after us, and the base was destroyed. Since you knew you were incompetent, why did you still have the face to come back?" The leader's low voice sounded, causing the faces of the subordinates to change. This wasn't what they had said at the beginning. The rules of the birds of paradise were very cruel. Those who failed the mission would die. Those who were greedy for life and afraid of the dead would die. If the base was destroyed, even if they were lucky enough to escape with their lives and return to the birds of paradise, their fate would be death, and it would be a miserable death. However, if the higher-up said that they could retreat if they couldn't win, then nothing would happen. The leader had said before that if the base was discovered and surrounded, they could try to preserve their strength and retreat. Why did he suddenly change his mind? "Leader, nothing can be accomplished without rules. Do I need to say more about the rules of the birds of paradise? Die. Leader, please spare our lives. We can retreat, but you said so. Leader, we were following your instructions." Suddenly, the 7 or 8 assassins screamed and rolled on the ground in pain. "Fire! Fire!" The screams didn't last for long. One by one, they gradually stopped breathing, and their bodies were visibly charred. But the strange thing was that there wasn't a single flame. It was as if their bodies were naturally turning into charcoal. The moment they stopped breathing, Wang Lan's group of 4 rushed through the passage and arrived in this small and sealed space. The surrounding environment was like an underground cave. A ray of light shone down from the sky and hit a platform in the depth. On the platform, a man in a black robe was sitting cross-legged, his body surrounded by black fog. Below the platform, there were several charred corpses lying in disorder. "Wang Lan, this old man has been waiting for you for a long time. You're finally here." A gloomy voice came from the old man in the black robe. "Who are you? Are you a traitor of the birds of paradise?" "Traitor? Ha ha. If I'm a traitor, then you're a traitor too." "I'm a traitor? I haven't heard a joke of this level in a long time. The demons' spies and human traitors who died in my hands are countless. You say I'm a traitor? Old man, are you confused? I'm not referring to the human race's traitor when I say you're a traitor, but a traitor of the gods. Wang Lan, because you're not a human, you're a child of the gods." As soon as he said this, Wang Lan's eyes widened. "You don't remember? Then I'll let you recall." Boom! Flames rose into the sky, and familiar memories unfolded in front of Wang Lan's eyes. It was 20 years ago, when Wang Lan had just transmigrated. The surrounding flames burned fiercely, and the clamor of fighting could be heard in the distance. Wang Lan was a child who had been born for less than 7 days, and he was in his mother's arms. His mother was a human girl, and his father was a noble of the demons. Moreover, he was the noble of the demons who looked the most like a human, and he had the same body as a human. The only difference was his pointed ears and the pair of small horns on his forehead. His father was a high-level spy hiding in the human world. Unfortunately, his whereabouts were exposed and he was discovered by the Jade State. Moreover, it was the Yen Emperor who was ordered to suppress him. His father hugged his mother and himself deeply, and then left without looking back. Half an hour later, the door was knocked open, and his father's head was thrown into the room by a fierce-looking woman. A woman with flames burning all over her body coldly came in front of his mother. Then, she raised the butcher's knife in her hand and chopped off his mother's head. Blood splattered all over her body. Just as the woman raised the butcher's knife and was about to fall, she suddenly stopped. She found that Wang Lan's body did not have any characteristics of the demons, and a strange smile suddenly appeared on her face. You have the blood of both demons and humans. It should be more valuable to train you to be a double agent. These memories unfolded in Wang Lan's mind like a picture scroll, and Wang Lan was so angry that he almost thought that it was real. Are you bullying me because I was just born and don't know anything? If I wasn't a transmigrator, and if I didn't retain all my memories from the moment I was born, I would have thought that I was a hybrid of a human and a demon. You can insult my intelligence, but you can't insult my breed. In an instant, the surrounding illusions disappeared, and the scene in front of him returned to the previous scene. And the figure shrouded in a black robe was still sitting on the platform. Wang Lan hurriedly looked at Su Xiangwen, Jiang Xinyu, and Xie Sisi. Su Xiangwen and Jiang Xinyu were still calm, but Xie Sisi's expression became very frightened. In her illusion, she and Wang Lan's affair was discovered by Jiang Xinyu. In order to win back Jiang Xinyu, Wang Lan actually said that she seduced Wang Lan. In fact, Wang Lan did not love Xie Sisi at all. In the end, Wang Lan coldly made Xie Sisi disappear and never appear again. In the end, looking at the two of them heartlessly leaving arm in arm, Xie Sisi's world instantly collapsed. Fear and despair filled her world. An inner demon was to evoke the deepest fear in a person's heart and magnify it to destroy a person's will. Although an inner demon was not in the Birds of Paradise ranking, it was the most terrifying existence in Birds of Paradise. Even Sony did not want to meet an inner demon, not to mention becoming an enemy. Seeing Xie Sisi's state, Wang Lan knew that she had fallen into his trap. If he did not break out of the illusion, Xie Sisi would collapse. In an instant, his body flashed, and he appeared in front of the black-robed man. The black-robed man was still looking at Wang Lan with a dumbfounded face. He had clearly fallen into his illusion, so how did Wang Lan break free? Even if you managed to break free, how did you manage to break free without me even noticing? At this moment, Wang Lan was filled with killing intent. Don't you like to interrogate souls? Don't you like to create inner demons? Then have a taste of this. Red Lotus Hellfire. Boom. Chapter 520. The inner demon's body was suddenly covered in red flames, but he was still in a daze. He couldn't understand. Why was Wang Lan able to break free from his inner demon's illusion without any warning? It was impossible. Didn't he successfully arouse the doubts in Wang Lan's heart? Only those who could see through the illusion and completely let go of their inner demons could break free from the illusion without any warning. This was the legendary saying, "No matter how strong you are, the moon shines over the river. No matter how tyrannical you are, the wind blows over the hills." Only those you cared about would be hurt. If you didn't care, the inner demon was nothing more than an emotion. Therefore, Wang Lan broke free from the inner demon's illusion and gave him a red lotus hellfire. Suddenly, the inner demon let out a blood-curdling scream, and the black mist around it disappeared, revealing a skinny face in a black cloak. But at this moment, The inner demon's eyes were bright red. It wasn't the bright red of blood vessels, nor was it the bright red of bleeding. It was the bright red of dancing flames. The red lotus hellfire burned the souls of sinners, causing them to sink into endless regret and fear. The shrill scream reverberated as the inner demon rolled on the platform in pain. And the three people who were trapped in the illusion were successfully released at this moment. The inner demon's illusion was indeed powerful. It was soundless and formless. No one could even detect how it was activated. Regardless of whether the target was a beginner in the heavenly body tier or an expert in the astral soul tier, they would all be pulled into the illusion. As long as you had a secret and something you were afraid of, you would have an inner demon. Humph! Jiang Xinyu snorted and stumbled. Wang Lan's figure flashed and supported Jiang Xinyu. At this moment, CSCC finally broke free from the illusion, but she was the one who was hurt the most. She let out a scream and spat out a mouthful of blood. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu's expressions changed and they quickly hugged CSCC. CSCC's face was pale and she was in a daze. Her cheeks were still trembling. "I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid." Jiang Xinyu hugged CSCC tightly and pulled her into her arms. "Cici, don't be afraid. We're here. Everything you saw just now was fake. It was all an illusion." In Jiang Xinyu's arms, CSCC gradually regained her consciousness. Wang Lan also hurriedly threw a life aura to CSCC, and CSCC's complexion finally became better. After a long time, CSCC's sobbing voice sounded, "Xinu, I'm fine. Don't worry too much, I saw myself when I was young." Both Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu knew that CSCC had almost been molested by an old man when she was young, so Jiang Xinyu could understand it instantly. However, Wang Lan felt that something was wrong. After the other CSCC left, the knot in CSCC's heart should have been untied. He secretly glanced at the way CSCC looked at Jiang Xinyu and suddenly had a guess in his heart. "Damn, this old man is really sinister. He actually scared me like this." Su Xianwen angrily walked towards the heart demon, but at this moment, the heart demon had already been burned to ashes by the red lotus raging fire. Su Xianwen looked at the heart demon and suddenly took a step back in fright. The heart demon's body did not have any scars, but its eye sockets were pitch black, as if it was an empty shell. "Let's go out. From what that guy said, I can almost guess that the space reclamation in the northwest was targeted at me. This was a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Now that the Dark Shadow Assassin base has been destroyed, the space reclamation in the northwest is basically over. We can have a good rest." As Wang Lan spoke, he helped CSCC up. "I'll carry you." "No." Before CSCC could finish speaking, she was already on Wang Lan's back. Jiang Xinyu only glanced at them and did not think much of it. Su Xianwen punched the space node, and the four of them instantly rushed out of the alternate space. At this moment, the Space Command Center in the northwest was as anxious as ants on a hot pan. The moment Wang Lan chased into the spacetime tunnel, Feng Niao realized that she had lost contact with Wang Lan and quickly informed Bai Shaoqi. Of course, Bai Shaoqi knew how valuable Wang Lan was. After learning that Wang Lan had lost contact with them, he immediately called the 4 titled experts in the northwest to look for him. However, a few minutes later, Feng Niao sent another message, saying that Wang Lan had been contacted. "Is this a joke?" Bai Shaoqi roared in exasperation. "Commander Bai, this is not my business. I'll let Lord Greed talk to you personally." Feng Niao handed the phone to Wang Lan and Bai Shaoqi. "Commander Bai, this is Wang Lan. I'm on my way back." "Young Master Wang, Major General Wang, can you let me know before you do anything? You're going to scare me to death if you lose contact without a word. Wasn't it only a few minutes?" "A few minutes? You're also an expert of our level. Don't you know what will happen in a few minutes? Don't you know that I thought you were dead the moment you lost contact with me?" Hearing the roar in his head, Wang Lan could not hold the phone as far away as he could make a call. He could only let Bai Shaoqi's roar reverberate in his head. Don't worry, it won't happen again. There will be a next time? Next time, you can report directly to the Department of National Defense. I won't serve you anymore. Tell me, what's the situation? We found the base of the Dark Shadow Assassins and successfully destroyed it. But there's another question. How did these guys get in? I decided to follow the fish that escaped the net. In the end, I found out that the demons had opened up a second passage in the reclaimed space. A second passage? Are you sure? I lost contact with you when I entered the second passage. So I'm sure that the demons have the ability to open space passages. But I don't know why they didn't do it before, or why there were so few open space passages. But after we went in, it was obvious that they changed the space passage. This time, they were mainly targeting me. Our bait operation seemed to be going smoothly, but their operation was bait to catch me, and it was very successful. Unfortunately, the people they sent were not good enough. They couldn't take me down and were killed by me. It's not that the people they sent were not good enough, but that you were too strong. Bai Shaoqi laughed lightly. Right, let me remind the outside world. I'm afraid the demons are going to do something. I think that luring me to the northwest reclaimed space and assassinating me is only part of their plan. The second part of their plan is probably to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Maybe when I arrive in the northwest, the demons will be preparing to open the space-time gem in the Jade State. I know. I'll tell Hummingbird right away. At the same time, under the control of the national level, the space-time gem detector was put into production almost immediately, and all the companies with the ability to produce it were requisitioned to change the production line. In just a few days, 500 sets of space-time gem detector parts were produced. The first time they were produced, professionals were arranged to assemble them. Wang Lan had calculated before that if the demons wanted to open the space-time gem in the Jade State, the best places to do so would be Shanghai and Kyoto. Both were the most densely populated cities, and both cities had extraordinary value in the heart of the Jade State. So the first batch of space-time gem detectors produced were first installed in these two cities, from the center of the city to the outside. Shanghai's City God District was the center of Shanghai. It had the most listed companies and the most financial institutions. Moreover, it was close to the Bund and the Shanghai port, where logistics, finance, and business gathered and where the elites gathered. The latest batch of space-time gem detectors arrived in Shanghai this morning, and the people in Shanghai immediately organized people to install them. Although it had been less than 5 days since the space-time gem detector was developed, Shanghai had already successfully installed 50 sets. Put in more effort, and finish debugging this set before the shift change. The people who change shifts don't have to come over, and just install it at the next installation point. Understood. Everyone responded energetically. The invention of the space-time gem detector was a technical job, and so was its production. The installation of the space-time gem detector was even more of a technical job. The precision of the detector was no less than the assembly of a satellite or a rocket. Although there were such talents in the Jade State, there were definitely not many of them. The speed and efficiency were never limited by money or people, but by talent. If there were 2 or 3 times more talents, then the speed of covering the entire Shanghai would be at least doubled. The sky was a little gloomy, as if a heavy rain was about to come. The installation technicians were sweating profusely, but they did not dare to stop at all. Sweat dripped into their eyes, but they did not even bother to rub their eyes. Number 43 installation complete. Commencing debugging. Debugging. Monitoring station, do you receive signal channel? Received signal channel connecting, woo woo woo. Suddenly, a shrill alarm sounded in the monitoring station, and the staff who were debugging jumped up in fright. What's going on? Why did the alarm suddenly sound? Number 43, please confirm if there is any malfunction in operation? Reporting to the monitoring station, there is no malfunction code, everything is normal. Everything is normal? Everything. Suddenly, the person in charge of the monitoring station's face changed drastically, and his eyes widened. Quick, open the map. On the holographic projection screen, the Big Dipper map appeared. The Big Dipper map was perfectly connected to the monitoring station, and every monitoring point on the map was marked. Among the 43 red dots on the map, one of them was constantly flashing. Zoom in. The area within 3 kilometers of the red dot was enlarged. Accepting detection data. Reporting to the director, it is 2 kilometers away from the detection point at 7 o'clock. Connect to the Heavenly Sword Bureau immediately. Qing Jianlong was tidying up his desk. Today was another simple and boring day. The entire Heavenly Sword Bureau was on duty to monitor the entire city, but it was this kind of waiting and monitoring that was the most torturous. Ring ring ring. Hello, this is Qing Jianlong. What? It's detected? Really? It's in Shanghai? I know, I'll go there immediately. After hanging up the phone, Qing Jianlong immediately picked up another phone. Action Team, Intelligence Team, gather everyone. Chapter 521. 5 minutes later, the soldiers of the Heavenly Sword Bureau rushed out of the Heavenly Sword Bureau's headquarters. None of them were driving, they were all relying on their own 2 feet. The situation was urgent, so they could not afford to drive. If they encountered a traffic jam on the road and delayed their flight, they would have to commit suicide on the spot, even if their superiors did not execute them. They were all experts at the galaxy realm and above. Their speed was not slower than a car's, and they could even travel in a straight line. Especially those Star Ocean realm experts, most of whom could fly. The area being monitored was originally the Duanmu clan's residence. After the Duanmu clan was destroyed, this place was developed as a business center. Only 2 years had passed, so the development had only just started. Thus, the place was now a mess. Because of the heavy rain in the past few days, the construction site had not started. Only a few workers were sleeping in dormitories made of colored steel. No matter which world it was, the construction workers were the ones who had the hardest time. The soldiers of the Heavenly Sword Bureau descended from the sky and locked onto some of the workers in the construction site. They broke in and said, "The Heavenly Sword Bureau is on business. Something big is about to happen here. Evacuate immediately." A group of workers, who did not know what was going on, were called out by the Heavenly Sword Bureau. The migrant workers looked at the Celestial Sword Special Service soldiers, who were wearing military uniforms, in bewilderment. In the depths of the construction site, candlelight flickered. This was a secret room buried 200 meters underground. It was also the final refuge of the Duanmu clan. Back when the Duanmu clan had been destroyed, the Heavenly Sword Bureau had recorded that one person had disappeared without a trace. Duanmu Qingqing, Duanmu Yi's younger sister, had just entered high school. The Heavenly Sword Bureau had tried to find her, but there had been no trace of her for more than a year. The Heavenly Sword Bureau had thought that Duanmu Qingqing had been sent away by the Duanmu clan. In any case, she was just a high school student who did not know anything. If she had escaped, then so be it. However, Duanmu Qingqing had actually been taken away by demons' spies the day before the Duanmu clan was destroyed. Wang Lan had thought that Duanmu Fanghua was the only person involved in the Demon City's infiltration plan. Even if there were other people involved, they should not be the Duanmu clan. However, he didn't expect that Duanmu Fanghua and Duanmu Qingqing were both. There is no need for Duanmu Qingqing to become the Poison Thorn because she is the young miss of the Duanmu clan. It was impossible for the demons to turn a beloved direct descendant of the Takashi Hoshi clan into a poisonous sting for the demons. Coincidentally, Duanmu Qingqing's weakness was in the demons' hands. You could never imagine how terrible a spoiled girl with a twisted worldview could be. When Duanmu Qingqing was in the 6th grade of primary school, she liked a boy at work. That kind of liking couldn't be called love in the eyes of adults. But to Duanmu Qingqing, it was love. She loved him so much that she wanted to own everything about him. She loved him so much that she didn't allow any girl to get close to him. However, it just so happened that there was a reckless girl who got close to that boy. Furthermore, the relationship between the two of them became better and better right before Duanmu Qingqing's eyes. Duanmu Qingqing's obstruction instead caused the male students to distance themselves from her. This caused Duanmu Qingqing to go crazy with jealousy. Finally, on a stormy night, Duanmu Qingqing found an opportunity to push that girl into a river and drown her. Duanmu Qingqing thought that she would be able to do it without anyone noticing. However, she didn't expect that this scene would be seen by the demon's spies who had been observing her for a long time. 3 days later, the news of that girl's accidental drowning spread out. No one doubted that it wasn't an accident. Soon, the boy that Duanmu Qingqing liked also sadly transferred to another school. To Duanmu Qingqing, this was perhaps a pain in the process of growing up. But soon, Duanmu Fanghua came looking for her with the video of her pushing a girl into the river. To the Duanmu clan, this kind of thing wasn't difficult as long as it was done properly. However, it also depended on who had the evidence. The demon race was completely capable of turning this matter that Duanmu Qingqing thought to be a minor matter into a major matter. They would also be able to completely ruin Duanmu Qingqing's good years. Thus, Duanmu Qingqing took the bait and successfully became the poison thorn in the infiltration plan. Duanmu Qingqing had a vicious heart. However, her talent could only be said to be average. She couldn't be compared to Duanmu Fanghua or Duan Ziki. However, she was Duanmu Qingcang's daughter. This was her greatest value. A woman who had a problem with her 3 views had personally witnessed the destruction of the Duanmu clan by the Heavenly Sword Bureau and the Yu clan. In addition, with the guidance of the demons, Duanmu Qingqing quickly saw the Jade State and even the human clan as her enemies. This hatred was even more intense than that of the demons. Duanmu Qingqing's value was originally her identity. However, when the Duanmu clan fell, she lost the value of her identity. Later, even her grandfather's Lu clan fell. She completely became a pitiful worm without any value. The more she experienced the coldness of the world, the more she hated the world. If there was a chance to destroy the world in front of her, she wouldn't hesitate to do it. Duanmu Qingqing waited for 2 years. In these 2 years, she fell from a noble lady to a stray dog. Finally, the opportunity came. The demons successfully sent the space-time gem to the Jade State and even to the Demon City. However, special equipment was needed to activate the space-time gem. The construction of this equipment couldn't be detected by the Heavenly Sword Bureau. How difficult was it to secretly construct the equipment when the Heavenly Sword Bureau had set up an inescapable net? However, at this time, the secret room of the Duanmu clan became the best platform for construction. This secret room was big enough and hidden enough. They had stayed in this dark secret room for a month. During this month, they could only catch rats and bugs to satisfy their hunger. The demons were fine. To them, taste was superfluous. As long as they could replenish their energy, anything was food. However, to Duanmu Qingqing, this was hell on earth. It was an unbearable torture. Almost done, almost done. The activation equipment is almost done. Soon, our army will arrive. One of the demons muttered crazily as he quickly adjusted the equipment. Rumble. Suddenly, a thunderous rumble resounded, and the earth began to tremble. What's going on? Oh no, the humans found us. They're using the earth element Takashi Hoshi to flip us over. Damn it, how did we get exposed? Was it you? One of the demons grabbed Duanmu Qingqing and slapped her without saying anything. Were you the one who notified the humans? If I wanted to notify the humans, I wouldn't have told you about this place, Duanmu Qingqing replied coldly. Also, this place is 200 meters underground. Their Takashi Hoshi won't be able to flip over here. They'll leave after they flip over. Of course, the Duanmu clan had considered building the secret chamber in such a deep place. Although the earth element Takashi Hoshi could reach a few hundred meters, it could only reach a depth of a few dozen meters. Not even a titled battle pet warrior would have been able to dig out 200 meters from the ground. Normally, if they couldn't flip over, they would assume that the space-time gem wasn't there. Naturally, they would look elsewhere. Unfortunately, they didn't know that the Jade State had already mastered the space-time gem detector. The detector's accuracy could be reduced to within 10 meters. If the detector said that the space-time gem was here, it must be here. Chief, there's nothing here. Could the detector have made a mistake? Qing Jianlong frowned. It can't be wrong. It should be here. Let me do it. As soon as he finished speaking, a balding middle-aged man who was less than 1.5 meters tall slowly descended from the sky. Earthwalker? Why are you here? I'm on vacation, so I went home to visit my family. I happened to pass by Magic City and wanted to see you, but I happened to see you rushing over here. Something big must have happened. So, I came to take a look. As he spoke, Qiao Shan slapped the ground with his palm. Vigorous star power gushed out from Qiao Shan's body. In an instant, George's expression changed slightly, revealing a look of astonishment. Interesting, to be able to build the secret room so deep. There's indeed something here. Rise. With a rumble, the ground violently churned. The secret room hidden 200 meters underground suddenly rose up as if it was riding an elevator. At this moment, the demons in the secret room panicked. The detector was still at 50%. It would take at least 1 minute. They had to buy enough time. The demons looked at each other and instantly made a decision. Duanmu Qingqing, when the detector is at 100%, you'll press the start button. This is your only chance to take revenge. Otherwise, we'll all die. Understood, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. On the other side, Wang Lan was still rushing to the headquarters. Although he had just replenished some spatial energy from the space-time gem, the amount was very little. It was only enough for Wang Lan to teleport a few times. Lord Wang Lan, hurry, the space-time gem has appeared in Magic City. Feng Niao's voice suddenly sounded. So fast? Wang Lan didn't have time to hesitate. Xinyu, Xiangwen, grab my hand. Just as the two grabbed Wang Lan, they instantly felt their vision blur and the two appeared at the entrance of the Northwest Wasteland Reclamation Space. Putting down CSCC on his back, Wang Lan hurriedly rushed out of the alternate space. It was as if he had passed through a mirror, crossing an entire world with one step. After returning to the outside world, his mind instantly sensed the coordinates of his home in Magic City. His body slightly distorted and he disappeared. Back home, Wang Lan hurriedly called Qing Jianlong. Qing Jianlong, where is the space-time gem? Give me the coordinate. After receiving Wang Lan's call, Qing Jianlong was relieved. Wang Lan was the only one who could stop the space-time gem from activating. With him in Magic City, the demons couldn't activate the space-time gem. It's at the Duanmu clan's old base. Hurry over. Yes. Wang Lan shouted and jumped out of the window. The starry sky opened and he put on the Phoenix Saint robe. A pair of wings extended from his back, and with a light flap, he turned into a gust of wind and rushed into the sky. Boom! Suddenly, several terrifying attacks shot out from the churning soil and attacked the Earth Walker. If there was a space-time gem here, there would naturally be demon spies. Therefore, Qiao Shan was already prepared. The moment the attacks came, an earth wall appeared in front of him. 4 or 5 demons instantly rushed out of the earth and attacked in all directions. At this moment, the demons' spies were just turtles in a jar in the eyes of everyone else. 2 titled experts, a dozen Star Sea Realm experts, and a large group of Peak Galaxy Realm experts. How could the demon spy group play any tricks? Qing Jianlong instantly attacked. A sword light slashed down and killed a demon's spy on the spot. With a backhand slash, the spy was cut in half at the waist. The demon's spies were like fruit ninjas in front of Qing Jianlong. Swish, swish, swish. One slash, one kill. Duanmu, the last demon's spy, let out an earth-shattering scream before he died. At this moment, the machine just happened to jump to 100%. Duanmu Qingqing's face revealed a sinister smile as she pressed the start button. Chapter 522. A burst of beautiful energy instantly emitted from the space-time gem in the device. A ball of energy overflowed and formed a semicircular shield to protect the space-time gem from being disturbed or destroyed when it was activated. The energy shield that used the space-time gem as its energy source was so sturdy that there was no record of it being broken. Following the release of energy, the soil covering the base instantly exploded. The originally flat ground instantly exploded into a huge crater with a diameter of about 200 meters and a depth of more than 10 meters. On top of a pyramid-like device, a white light shot up into the sky from the top of the space-time gem. Beside the space-time gem, a woman in ragged clothes went crazy. Ha ha, ha ha, success, success, destroy, destroy everything. The gate to the demon realm has opened. The army of demons has descended. Modu is going to become the real Modu. Ha ha ha, destroy it, George roared with his eyes wide open. A group of Celestial Sword Special Service took out their Takashi Hoshi skills and bombarded the space-time gem activator. However, Takashi Hoshi's skills were all blocked by the semicircular shield. Not even a ripple was created. It's useless. Duanmu Qingqing stood inside the shield and looked at the rain of Takashi Hoshi skills coming at her. She shook her head in disdain. This is an energy shield powered by the space-time gem. Not to mention a group of trash like you, even if the 5 emperors gathered together, they wouldn't be able to break it. Duanmu Qingqing slowly raised her head. In the clouds in the sky, a crack slowly split open. When the gate to the demon realm was completely opened, the army of demons appeared and instantly occupied Modu. At this moment, her feelings were very complicated. Originally, she thought that she would feel the joy of taking revenge on the world. However, at this moment, she felt very disappointed. Her family was gone. Her relatives were gone. And now, it seemed that her country was about to be gone, ha ha. She had nothing. She really had nothing. Chirp, a phoenix cry resounded through the sky. Everyone suddenly looked up at the sky. A fireball turned into a meteor and flashed through the sky. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the void and rushed towards the gate to the demon realm. Wang Lan! Wang Lan is here. This is great. Kid Wang Lan, hurry! Hurry up and break this barrier! George shouted excitedly. Qiao Shan had a deep impression of Wang Lan's attack power. In terms of attack power, even 10 Qiao Shans added together could not compare to half of Wang Lan. Under George's astonishment, Wang Lan actually crashed into the light pillar. F***CK. Wang Lan, are you crazy? That's the energy field of the space-time gem. What was the level of energy emitted by the space-time gem? Even if Qiao Shan had never felt it before, he could sense that the energy that could shatter spacetime and construct a spacetime passage was enough to destroy any matter. It didn't matter if it was one of the 5 emperors or all of them tied together. Once they were thrown into the energy field, they would be annihilated without any delay. If one were to ask what level of strength could resist the energy field, Qiao Shan's answer would be that even an immortal would be useless. Qiao Shan admitted that Wang Lan was indeed awesome. However, he couldn't just rely on his awesomeness to rush into the energy field of the space-time gem. Seeing the young hero of Jade State flying into a flame like a moth, Qiao Shan's heart was extremely pained. Huh! What's going on? When Wang Lan rushed into the energy field, it was as if a valve had closed the flow of water. The light pillar that shot straight into the sky was actually cut off from the middle. Wang Lan's body was at the point where the light pillar was cut off. Without the energy to continue, the slowly opening gate of time and space stopped. Then, it slowly closed under the repair of the space power. This is a joke, right? Everyone's mouth was wide open as they raised their heads with a dumbfounded expression. Even Cheng Jianlong was dumbfounded as the corner of his mouth kept twitching. Wang Lan had said many times that he was the only one who could stop the space-time gem from opening the gate of time and space. Therefore, many people believed him and thought that Wang Lan had some kind of secret method. Some people even imagined that Wang Lan was actually the reincarnation of a god. He could transform into a god and then close the gate of the demon realm with a wave of his hand. However, they never expected that he would close the gate like this. Did he directly rush into the energy field and block the energy transmission with his own body? Was he sure his body could block it? The pure space power poured into Wang Lan's body. Wang Lan only felt that he was like a dry desert that was suddenly irrigated by rain. The space power filled Wang Lan's space. Gradually, the spiritual spring in the form of a phoenix was filled to the brim. General, it's detected that the space-time gem of the human race has been activated. Oh? It's only been a year. How can it be sensed again? The last time it sensed the coordinates of time and space, it suddenly disappeared. After a year, it's only been 70 years since the last harvest. Is there a big change in the human race this time? Oh no, General. The gate of time and space only opened for a short while and then stopped. It's collapsing and being repaired by time and space. Is it the same as last time? No, someone has blocked the energy transmission of the spacetime gem. How is that possible? The energy of the spacetime gem is at the level of a demon god. It's a divine item left behind by a demon god. How can the human race block the power of a demon god? Is that so? The human race has already developed to this extent? The general's expression finally became serious. The human race was not just beyond their control. They had already gone beyond their control. This was absolutely not allowed to happen. Send the coordinates to the spacetime gem. Since they're not willing to open the gate of time and space to welcome the gods, then we'll go find them. I'd like to see what kind of changes the human race can bring in a mere 70 years. The gate of the demon realm in the sky gradually closed. The space power released by the spacetime gem was also gradually absorbed by Wang Lan. The beam of light shot out from the spacetime gem suddenly disappeared. The protective shield surrounding the laser beam instrument also suddenly extinguished. Wang Lan, unharmed, descended from the sky and landed beside the instrument. The stunned soldiers of the Heavenly Sword Bureau came back to their senses one by one. In an instant, they swarmed forward and held down the despairing Duanmu Qingqing. How can this be? How can this be? The spacetime gem has been activated. Why didn't the demon's army come? Why didn't they come? It's impossible, it's impossible. Who is this? Wang Lan asked as he watched Duanmu Qingqing being held down by two female Heavenly Sword Bureau guards and then dragged away. I don't know. She should be a spy for the demons. She was the one who activated the spacetime gem. She almost ruined everything. Wang Lan, are you okay? How did you do it? I can't imagine. Cheng Jianlong came to Wang Lan's side and asked excitedly. How could he not be excited? The spacetime gem had been activated. The demon's army was about to arrive. At this point of despair, Wang Lan had actually blocked the energy field? If it was that easy to stop the spacetime gem, then anyone could do it. However, the moment this thought arose, it was extinguished by Cheng Jianlong. Anyone could do it? Maybe if it was someone else who rushed into the energy field, there wouldn't even be a speck left. My phoenix form can absorb pure energy, and it just so happens that the spacetime gem's spatial energy is very pure. Since I absorbed the spacetime gem's spatial energy, I naturally can't open the spacetime gate. Wang Lan's explanation made everyone come to a realization. Wang Lan lightly punched the activation device and shattered it. Sure enough, A square spacetime gem was found in the activation device. The spacetime gem was as beautiful as a black gem. This was the second spacetime gem that Wang Lan had obtained. Just when everyone's hearts were at ease and they thought that everything had been settled, a storm suddenly appeared in the sky. Everyone raised their heads, their eyes flashing with astonishment. This scene clearly wasn't a natural climate change. It was as if some invisible energy was stirring up the clouds in the sky. While everyone was at a loss, Wang Lan's face instantly turned gloomy. This was because the clouds in the sky were filled with spatial energy. This level of spatial energy definitely couldn't be emitted by a spacetime gem. However, he hadn't just absorbed the spacetime gem's energy. Wang Lan lowered his head in confusion. With just one glance, his expression changed drastically. This was because a coordinate had appeared in the spacetime gem in his hand. He didn't know if it was originally in the spacetime gem or if it had just been thrown in. If Wang Lan wasn't very sensitive to spatial coordinates, most people wouldn't have been able to discover it. Wang Lan raised his head to look at the sky again. The center of the rolling clouds above his head was actually right above him. Wang Lan instantly thought of the cause and effect. The demons had used the coordinates in the spacetime gem in his hand to locate space. Then, the spacetime gate had been opened from the demon's side. At this thought, Wang Lan instantly teleported and appeared in Sioux City. Wang Lan raised his head to look at the sky. It was blue and cloudless. He picked up the phone and dialed a number. Qingju, is there any change in the phenomenon above your heads? Wang Lan, where did you go? The phenomenon in the sky has begun to disappear. That's strange. Why is everything fine after you left? Are you possessed by the god of misfortune? I'm in Sioux City now, but the problem is that a phenomenon has begun to appear above Sioux City. As Wang Lan spoke, clouds gathered above Sioux City. A vortex formed by clouds and mist gathered in the sky above Wang Lan's head. It seems that my guess was right. Wang Lan's figure flashed and appeared at his home in Capital City in the blink of an eye. He picked up the phone and hurriedly dialed number one's number. He didn't care about etiquette. The moment the call connected, he hurriedly said, "Number 1, the spacetime gem has been recovered. However, the demons have left coordinates on the spacetime gem. They're trying to open the gate of the demon world to descend." Is that so? Do you have any way to deal with it? The spacetime gem can't be stored in my portable space or spatial equipment. How about we throw it into an alternate space? However, the demons will also descend into the alternate space. This is still very disadvantageous to us. Is the descent of the demons inevitable? Unless we can destroy the spacetime gem immediately. The spacetime gem can't be destroyed. How about this? Do you have a way to send the spacetime gem to the no man's land? Do you mean to let the demons' army descend and we'll greet them with missiles? Since we can't stop them from descending, we can only choose the smallest price. Number 1, wait a minute. I'll make a trip to Shanghai first. Soon, number 1's phone rang again. After the call was connected, Wang Lan's voice was heard again. I didn't leave coordinates in the no man's land. However, Yu Ruoyun has a section of the empty wood. I'm now repeatedly jumping between the 3 cities to buy time, so that Yu Ruoyun can send the empty wood to the no man's land. Then, I can teleport over with the spacetime gem. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.